young heir from the Champion Alliance. At this moment, outside the Eastern Gate, various guilds, both large and small, were convening. Although no one knew what awaited within the Stone Gold secret realm, the mere existence of this event prompted every player to want to take a glimpse inside. After all, what if one were to strike it rich overnight? Much like avid lottery enthusiasts, who feel they have lost out on millions if they skip a day of buying tickets. However, these guilds instinctively kept their distance from the Abyss Lord's position. Despite having the fewest members present, each Abyss Lord player was accompanied by at least one level 30 skeletal warrior, with many players possessing 2 or even 3 skeletal soldiers. Should anyone approach too closely, it might be misconstrued as an attempt to launch an ambush, potentially resulting in a catastrophic massacre of guild members. Such an encounter is best avoided. Even top-tier guilds like Ao Shi, Kuang Long, and DE maintained a safe distance from Lu Yu. Especially in the case of the Proud faction, they deliberately chose a position that was the farthest from Lu Yu. Ever since Xing Tian accepted the task from the City Lord, he had adopted a notably low profile, embodying the demeanor of a gentleman who believes in avenging 10 years later. Fortunately, the entrance to the Golden Stone secret realm was quite expansive, measuring nearly 1,000 meters, providing ample space for these factions to establish their presence. Lu Yu did not hesitate and immediately led his team to occupy the central position. Gazing at the members of the faction before him, Lu Yu nodded and began to elucidate. The Golden Stone secret realm is a place abundant in ores, housing both naturally formed minerals and those concealed within the bodies of wild creatures. The rarer the ore, the higher the level of the surrounding wild creatures. Conversely, the higher the level of the wild creatures, the more precious the ores they yield. Many among you have likely received quests from NPCs requesting assistance in procuring these ores. My suggestion is that you may choose to disregard such tasks. After a period, you will discover that the value of the ores you trade far surpasses the rewards from these quests by several multiples. The members of the faction exchanged glances, some of whom had accepted such tasks, initially believing they would profit handsomely, only to realize that the buyers often outnumber the sellers. Leader, if we do not exchange them for quest rewards, what use do we have for the ores? Ores are the essential materials for crafting equipment. With ores in hand, one can seek out a blacksmith to forge gear. If that fails, one could become a blacksmith oneself and engage in self-production and sales. Lu Yu smiled slightly. I have already taken up the side profession of a blacksmith. If you acquire ores, you may come to me. For 10 pieces of black iron ore, I can forge a black iron item for you. Naturally, black iron ore is the most common mineral in the Golden Stone secret realm, and there are many rarer ores within. Should you bring me superior ores, I can craft even better equipment for you. A spark of excitement ignited in everyone's eyes. Many had visited blacksmiths before. There, crafting a single black iron item not only required a significant amount of gold, but also 15 pieces of black iron ore. Here, under the leadership of Lu Yu, only 10 pieces were needed. Moreover, it seemed that black iron items were merely the foundation. Acquiring bronze, silver, or even gold items was not out of the question. In an instant, everyone's minds were filled with thoughts of how to procure more ores. Leader, currently in Lingfeng City, there are scarcely any individuals pursuing side professions, and there are virtually no miners. What will become of the natural ores? Well asked. Lu Yu regarded the source of the voice with approval, only to find that it was a pure-hearted young girl. This young lady certainly knows how to set the stage for herself. Natural ores can only be extracted by miners. Those who are not miners would only end up with a heap of useless materials, even if they managed to excavate the ores. What then? Are we to simply watch idly? Of course not. With a wave of his hand, over 100 dwarf miners appeared behind him. Calculating the time, it is likely that the original bodies of these dwarf miners have perished. However, the projections have been acquired by Lu Yu, and as long as they do not meet their demise, they shall not vanish. These dwarf miners, who are primarily skilled in mining, can be summoned by each of you. Upon encountering ores, they can facilitate extraction. However, let it be made clear that these dwarf miners are not provided without cost. For every dwarf miner you take from me, you must return with 20 units of black iron ore, or its equivalent in other minerals. If you are in agreement, you may come forth to claim a dwarf miner. Only a fool would decline such an offer. Upon entering, as long as fortune favors you, you are bound to procure over 20 units of black iron ore. Other factions are yet to even obtain such an opportunity. Leader, I wish to claim one. Leader, I too desire one. Please grant me first choice. I want that female miner. In no time, all 99 dwarf miners were distributed. Lu Yu once again reminded everyone, those entering the Golden Stone secret realm will be randomly teleported to various locations. Therefore, prior to entry, ensure that your summoned beasts maintain physical contact with you, as this will classify them as your subordinates and teleport you together. The guild members acknowledged their understanding. Lu Yu glanced at the countdown at the entrance of the secret realm, with less than 10 minutes remaining. Suddenly, a message from the World Without Conflict faction appeared. Big Boss, your earlier remarks have already begun circulating among the major factions. I am aware, Lu Yu replied succinctly. He refrained from elaborating, as this was an anticipated outcome. There is no wall that does not let the wind through. Moreover, he had not communicated in private within the guild chat, but had spoken openly in front of many. So other factions would inevitably learn of it. Nevertheless, it mattered not. Even if they were informed now, they could not immediately produce 100 additional mining specialists. Furthermore, given the random teleportation upon entry, there was no cause for concern regarding the Abyss Lord's followers being besieged by rival factions. Most of the mineral resources within the secret realm would still end up in the Abyss Lord's possession. At the entrance of the secret realm, the countdown rapidly approached its conclusion, soon dwindling to the final 10 seconds. All players gathered at the entrance, eagerly awaiting the realm's opening. Lu Yu also positioned himself at the threshold, casting a glance toward Ao Shi and Xing Tian. The ores within the Golden Stone secret realm are indeed significant resources. Yet what holds greater importance is something else entirely. Xing Tian sensed Lu Yu's gaze and instinctively returned it. Upon seeing Lu Yu's beaming smile, an unsettling feeling surged within him. Chapter 113. Entering the Secret Realm 3, 2, 1. The countdown concluded, and the barrier at the entrance dissipated. Ao Shi and Xing Tian stepped forward, and Lu Yu smiled gently, leisurely entering the Golden Stone secret realm. A blinding light flashed, and the surroundings transformed instantaneously. System prompt. You have entered the secret realm of gold and stone. The realm will close in 24 hours. Players who have not exited by then will have their inventory cleared by the system and will be forcibly teleported back to their home city. Lu Yu glanced behind him, finding the entrance already vanished. There are two ways to exit the realm. One can either use a recall scroll or another form of teleportation, or obtain a key from wild monsters to unlock the void exit. Clearly, Lu Yu had no choice but to opt for the latter. The air was thick with a heavy metallic scent, imparting an oppressive weight upon him. Surveying his surroundings, Lu Yu noted an assortment of stones, making it difficult to ascertain his precise location within the secret realm of gold and stone. Each time the realm opened, its environment shifted, and both the monsters and resources within varied according to the highest level of the respective race. Having ventured into this realm dozens of times before, Lu Yu was accustomed to the fresh experiences it offered each time. However, frequent visits allowed him to discern certain patterns. For instance, the closer one approached the center of the realm, the higher the quality of resources. Currently, according to the leaderboard, the highest level was Lu Yu's level 30, suggesting that the lowest level monsters in this realm would also be level 30. Naturally, this was not particularly advantageous for other players. Suddenly, a stone the size of a basketball hurtled toward Lu Yu, only to be cleaved in two by a goblin general's blade. Lu Yu turned to the direction from which the stone had come, spotting a stone monster glaring at him, evidently incensed by his presence. Stone monster, elite monster, level 30 health, 100,000 attack, 500 defense, 800 skills, stone throw, hardening, frenzied charge description, a creature that springs forth from stone. Not all are monkeys. This level 30 monster boasted formidable attributes, though its magical resistance was notably low, and its agility left much to be desired. Such creatures were favored by mages. As a mage himself, Lu Yu had no intention of engaging directly. With a single hand gesture, four skeletal mages materialized beside him. The necromantic flames drifted forth, enveloping the stone monster. Though there were no immediate visual effects, the monster's health began to plummet rapidly. Moments later, the stone monster's health depleted entirely, its cumbersome form shattering into a pile of rubble, which transformed into a beam of light and ascended into Lu Yu's summoning space. Only a shard of dark metal fell heavily to the ground. Black iron ore, superior to ordinary iron ore, served as a primary material for forging black iron items. From this mineral, it was evident that Lu Yu was positioned on the outskirts of the realm. He clicked his tongue in dismay. The item that Xing Tian sought was located at the very center of the realm. It appeared he would have to fight his way through. With another wave of his hand, several black-headed eagles took flight, circling above. Their minds were intertwined. Lu Yu, utilizing the keen vision of the black eagle, began to survey his surroundings in search of the direction to the center of the secret realm. To the east, south, and north stretched an endless expanse of desolate rocky mountains, shrouded in a lifeless gray-black hue. Only to the west did a tapestry of colors emerge. Nodding to himself, Lu Yu realized he must currently be on the eastern side of the secret realm. To reach the center, he would need to venture westward. The black eagle continued to guide him through the sky as Lu Yu hastened his pace in that direction. He bore no concern that Xing Tian would arrive first. No one possessed a map of the secret realm, and all would need to explore and investigate bit by bit. Even if Xing Tian were extraordinarily fortunate and found himself transported directly to the heart of the secret realm, he would still have to slowly ascertain the location of the coveted item. Moreover, the wild creatures at the center of the realm were of a higher level. And with Xing Tian only at level 20, he would undoubtedly face significant challenges. Furthermore, given Xing Tian's capabilities, he would require a considerable number of allies before attempting to seize the item. Thus, Lu Yu felt no urgency in his journey. He intended to thoroughly extract all the minerals along the way. As a blacksmith, acquiring experience was essential for forging superior equipment. To amass substantial experience, extensive forging was necessary, which, in turn, required abundant raw materials. This was a rare opportunity to gather materials, and Lu Yu was not about to let it slip away. He summoned all his summoned beasts, instructing them to disperse and attack at will. Whenever they encountered natural mineral deposits, he directed the dwarven miners to extract them completely. In summary, he left no trace of or in his wake. Soon, Lu Yu's backpack was brimming with a plethora of ores, predominantly iron and black iron, ordinary minerals. The only noteworthy find was a single piece of bronze. Shaking his head, Lu Yu lamented the scarcity of quality materials in the periphery. He quickened his pace with the most elite of his several hundred summoned beasts, allowing the skeleton soldiers to gradually gather the iron ore behind him. After the skeleton cavalry had traversed several miles, the environment began to shift noticeably. The dreary hues gradually faded, replaced by a gentle bluish-green expanse of rocky terrain. A massive piece of blue stone lay before Lu Yu. Qingye stone, bronze quality, status, 55, mineable. An old acquaintance had appeared. The very first piece of equipment Lu Yu had crafted was the Qingye sword, made primarily from Qingye stone. Several dwarven miners had already approached, beginning to extract the ore with their iron picks. Lu Yu looked up to see that this area was abundant with Qingye stone. Surrounding several noticeably large pieces of Qingye stone were a few stone monsters. Unlike the previous stone creatures, these were a pale blue, closely resembling the color of the Qingye stone. Qing stone monster, elite monster, level 32. The Qing stone monster was 2 levels higher than the ordinary stone monsters, possessing slightly enhanced attributes. There is nothing particularly special about this place. It is merely a site for delivering materials and sharing experiences. The skeletal cavalry charged forth, swiftly dispatching a wild creature beside a block of azure cliff stone. Lu Yu personally approached, noting that only wild creatures surrounded these colossal stones, suggesting some hidden significance. Azure cliff stone, bronze quality, status, 77, mineable. Azure steel stone, silver quality, status, 22, mineable. The consecutive notifications brightened Lu Yu's eyes. Within this massive rock, 2 types of ores were concealed, one of which was surprisingly of silver quality. This location, still on the periphery of the secret realm, had already revealed silver-grade ore, implying that the midsection of the realm would undoubtedly contain gold-quality ores. The deepest recesses of the secret realm might even yield dark gold or even diamond-quality ores. The quality of that certain item was certainly worth anticipating. Chapter 114. The Surveyor. An hour later, all nearby azure stones had been completely mined. Lu Yu's backpack now contained over 100 pieces of azure cliff stone and a dozen azure steel stones. Judging solely by the quantity of azure cliff stones, he could forge approximately 10 azure cliff swords. With no further resources in the vicinity, Lu Yu continued westward. Along the way, he encountered more of those stone monsters, yielding only a few pieces of black iron ore, a meager gain. Currently, Lu Yu's backpack held over 1,000 pieces of black iron ore. According to the success rate of the armor smith's equipment crafting, this was almost equivalent to 100 pieces of black iron gear. If distributed among the guild members, each would receive 1 piece. However, Lu Yu would not simply give them away. While enhancing the overall strength of the guild was undoubtedly important, excessive generosity could lead some to perceive it as a matter of course. Therefore, those desiring equipment must exchange contribution points or other valuable items in return. Yet, as the game progressed, black iron gear was quickly becoming standard among mainstream players. Especially now, with the opening of the Goldstone Secret Realm, it would not be long, 3 to 5 days at most, before ordinary players could gather a few pieces of black iron gear as well. He decided to pursue a more high-end path. With this thought, Lu Yu quickened his pace and opened the forging interface, placing 10 pieces of black iron ore inside. Normally, forging a piece of black iron gear required at least 20 pieces of black iron ore. However, thanks to the unique talent of the armorsmith profession, material consumption was halved, allowing Lu Yu to create a piece with just 10 pieces of black iron ore. He clicked the forge button. After a series of clanging sounds, a brand new piece of black iron gear emerged. Black iron boots, black iron gear, level 15 system notification. Congratulations. You have successfully forged black iron boots, black iron gear, gaining 20 forging experience for black iron boots and 20 experience for footwear crafting. The attributes of the standard black iron gear were nothing particularly noteworthy. Lu Yu casually tossed them into the guild warehouse, setting the contribution point exchange rate. Then he proceeded to extract 10 pieces of black iron ore for forging. This method of forging, utilizing a singular material, yielded equipment that was random in nature, predominantly resulting in substantial items such as helmets, chest plates, bracers, leg armor, and boots. The likelihood of producing accessories like rings or necklaces was exceedingly low. Lu Yu had little interest in the nature of the equipment he would create. His primary focus was to fill the gaps in the gear of his guild members. Even he had several equipment slots that remained unoccupied, and the situation was even more dire for the others. The crafted equipment was to be chosen by them at their discretion. His secondary aim was to enhance his forging experience, thereby preparing for the creation of higher-tier equipment. In no time, 1,000 pieces of black iron ore transformed into 100 pieces of equipment, including several accessories. Lu Yu selected a black iron ring to adorn his hand, filling one of his equipment slots. However, he failed to produce any necklaces or cloaks, as the latter required materials that were not merely ores. The crocodile skin and black water python skin that had been languishing in his backpack since the novice village were also forged into items, resulting in a piece of bronze chest armor and a black iron bracer. Since he had no use for them, he directly deposited them in the guild warehouse. With several hundred pieces of iron and black iron ore still remaining in his backpack, Lu Yu decided against further consumption. These ores served as auxiliary materials for crafting other equipment, and he preferred to retain a reserve. Moreover, in the rear, thousands of skeleton soldiers continued to gather these fundamental minerals. As he advanced further, the surrounding environment underwent a dramatic transformation. The stony desert vanished, replaced by a towering mountain. They had evidently reached the midsection of the secret realm. Just as Lu Yu was about to ascend the mountain, he suddenly overheard a conversation nearby. Finally, out of that damned stony desert. Brother, why aren't we mining all that black iron ore? What do you know? That black iron ore is merely a basic material. At best, it can yield a few pieces of black iron equipment. But black iron equipment is still valuable. I only possess 4 pieces myself. Brother, trust me. I assure you there are far better treasures here than black iron equipment. My exploration instinct tells me that this mountain harbors rare minerals, at the very least of silver quality, and perhaps even abundant gold quality. Could that lead to crafting silver, or even gold equipment? I used to think that your side profession as an explorer was a waste of time. But it seems I was the shallow one. That's why you're our big brother. Your hidden secondary profession makes all the difference. Alright, let me pinpoint the exact location of the minerals. Just over there. There are numerous minerals of bronze quality and some of silver quality. Why would so many minerals converge in such a small area? With a puzzled expression, he exclaimed, "What on earth? That pile of minerals is moving on its own, heading our way. Could it be a wild beast?" Knight Kicks the Widow speculates. Foot kicks Kindergarten. It is more likely a player. Then let's expose him. The 3 exchanged glances, nodded in agreement, and shared a knowing smile. Knight Kicks the Widow immediately entered stealth mode, while the other 2 concealed themselves behind a massive rock. Lu Yu smacked his lips. He had already seen these 3 old friends through the eyes of a goblin assassin. Since parting ways in the novice village, he had not encountered them again. The sound had felt somewhat familiar, but upon seeing their IDs, Lu Yu instantly recalled their identities. From their earlier conversation, it seemed that punching the elderly home had taken on a hidden secondary profession called Scout, capable of discovering the locations of precious minerals. What a predicament. He had been pondering how to swiftly clear this mine. Just as Knight Kicks the Widow entered stealth mode, he was struck by a dagger, shattering his stealth. Punching the elderly home and Foot Kicks Kindergarten were momentarily stunned, only to feel a chill at their throats, as if a sharp object was pressed against their vital points. In an instant, the 3 dared not move. Lu Yu approached slowly, a smile gracing his face as he regarded them. Long time no see. The moment they saw Lu Yu, their expressions turned sour like bitter gourds. In such a vast realm, how could they have encountered this calamity? What? Are you unhappy to see me? Cheer up. The 3 hurriedly echoed. Lu Yu shook his head. Your furrowed brows hardly convey joy. Upon hearing this, the 3 quickly forced out unpleasant smiles. Only then did Lu Yu restore his grin. Looking at punching the elderly home, I heard you have taken on the role of scout. Chapter 115. The Vein Punching the Elderly Home. Master Qingjiu. Back in the novice village, it was our folly to offend you. Now that we have entered the secondary main city, on account of our shared origins, please let us off the hook. Foot Kicks Kindergarten and Knight Kicks the Widow nodded fervently. Having experienced the events in the novice village, they clearly understood that Master Qingjiu was not someone they could provoke. Even top-tier factions like AO Shi treated Lu Yu with caution, let alone the 3 of them. Lu Yu shook his head. During our time in the novice village, you gathered other players multiple times to target me, and I have yet to settle this score with you. Today, having finally encountered you, how could I let you leave so easily? Did you not just say we are from the same village? When villagers meet, there should be tears of joy. At Lu Yu's words, the 3 nearly wept. Master Qingjiu, please show us the way, and we shall follow it. You still haven't answered my earlier question. What question? Have you taken on the role of scout? Oh, indeed. Esteemed sake connoisseur, I have fortuitously attained the position of an explorer, capable of surveying rare minerals within a 10-mile radius and engaging in collection and excavation. Should you desire anything, I shall promptly conduct an exploration for you. Lu Yu nodded in satisfaction. Despite the moniker, the individual appeared quite competent. First, enlighten me about the minerals in the vicinity, Lu Yu said, smiling at the explorer, who immediately felt a wave of anxiety wash over him. Esteemed one, I have detected that to the east, south, and north, there are primarily iron ore and black iron ore. However, within the mountains to the west, there exists a quantity of silver-grade minerals, he reported. Lu Yu squinted slightly. Only silver-grade? Nay, there are also gold-grade minerals, the explorer hastily added. Having initially intended to withhold some information, but unable to resist Lu Yu's piercing gaze. How many gold-grade minerals are there? Quite a lot. How much is a lot? Perhaps even more than all the minerals in your backpack combined. So many gold-grade ores. To consider, my backpack contains several hundred pieces, Lu Yu mused. Hundreds of gold-grade ores suggested the presence of a small vein within the mountain. A surge of joy filled Lu Yu's heart, though he maintained a calm demeanor. Lead the way. There's no rush to seek out those gold-grade minerals. First, direct me to the location of the silver-grade ores. The finest treasures are best savored last. The summoned beasts released the three individuals. The explorer hastily moved to the front to guide the way, while the other two followed closely behind, trembling with trepidation. These three were full-time gamers, deriving all their income from selling equipment and items within the game. They had already lost considerable time in the novice village, resulting in a sharp decline in their earnings, and they were now on the brink of starvation. Having finally entered the level 2 main city, they had hoped to profit handsomely from this expedition into the realm of mineral secrets. Little did they anticipate encountering Lu Yu. They did not wish to appear so subservient. They could have confronted Lu Yu directly, risking a level drop. However, the cost of losing a level had become too great. They had to swallow their pride. Especially Knight kicking the widow, whose displeasure was practically etched upon his face, ready to launch a surprise attack on Lu Yu. Lu Yu, however, was disinclined to engage in conflict. Instead, he found a certain enjoyment in the situation. No, this is a decline. I am a man destined to save the world, and I cannot harbor such petty thoughts. The explorer led the way, navigating over several large stones before halting in front of an unremarkable boulder. Blue steel, silver grade, status, mineable 44. As Lu Yu beheld the blue steel, a thought struck him, and he inquired, "Are all the nearby silver grade minerals of this type?" The explorer nodded. "All silver grade minerals are of this blue steel." Lu Yu nodded, having discerned the quality of the ore within this mountain. The dwarf miner extracted the azure steel ore and handed it to Lu Yu, who casually tossed it into his backpack. Knowing the nature of the veins here, the silver quality azure steel ore no longer held any allure for him. Nevertheless, adhering to the principle of waste not, Lu Yu instructed his companion, fist against the elderly, to carry along all the azure steel ore they could find. Once the dwarf miner had finished extracting all the azure steel ore, he presented it to Lu Yu, who then proceeded toward the location of the ore vein. Fist against the elderly led the way, and after climbing several steep cliffs, a cave emerged before them. The entrance to the cave was narrow, barely allowing one person to pass through, and Fist against the elderly was the first to step inside. Lu Yu followed closely behind. The dimness within the cave evoked memories of the goblin lair in the novice village. Back then, Lu Yu had navigated the cave in near darkness. However, times had changed. With a mere gesture, he summoned 4 necromancers. They did not need to cast any spells. The glow from their eyes and the flames atop their staffs sufficed to illuminate the surroundings. As the cave brightened, deep blue ores came into view, interwoven with strands of gold. The ore extended into the depths of the cave, seemingly endless. Indeed, it was the azure gold or vein. Typically, such veins would yield some silver-quality azure steel or nearby. Lu Yu recalled a guide he had read in his previous life, detailing how a player had discovered a cluster of azure steel ore. After depleting the azure steel ore there, the player boasted about the location in the world channel, deceitfully claiming that a wealth of azure steel ore remained unexploited. Someone fell for the ruse and purchased the location at an exorbitant price. Following the private transaction, the seller mockingly ridiculed the buyer in the world channel. Yet, undeterred, the buyer ventured there personally and inadvertently stumbled upon the hidden azure gold. Lu Yu had once thought that the buyer was aware of the connection between azure steel and azure gold and had intentionally been duped. However, that was of little consequence. What mattered now was that an entire expanse of azure gold lay before Lu Yu. Why hesitate? Time to clear it out. With the rhythmic sounds of dwarven hammers and chisels, chunks of azure gold were placed into Lu Yu's backpack. This was a primary material for crafting golden equipment. With the right blueprints, azure gold could even serve as the main component for creating dark gold items. In the future, the mainstream player's golden equipment would predominantly be fashioned from this material. Fist against the elderly and his companion stood aside, watching helplessly as the azure gold within the cave dwindled. Had they not encountered Lu Yu, all this azure gold would have been theirs. The potential profit from so much golden quality ore would have been astronomical, sufficient to sustain them for quite some time. Yet now, they were left only to watch in dismay. Chapter 116. The Eye of the Abyss. The lapis lazuli visibly entered Lu Yu's backpack at an astonishing pace. He extracted a piece, tossed it gently into the air, and effortlessly caught it with his hand. The 3 individuals from the elderly care center nodded involuntarily, only to shake their heads rapidly in response. Is there anything else of value nearby? Upon hearing Lu Yu's inquiry, the representative from the elderly care center hesitated. Master Qingjiu, I can sense that there is something else deeper within this cave, but it does not appear to be a mineral. I cannot specify what it is, and it is buried quite deep. Excavating it may take some time. Oh, Lu Yu raised an eyebrow. He had not ventured deep into the cave. It was the dwarf miners who were extracting and transporting the minerals. He was surprised to learn that there might be something else hidden within the depths. Glancing at the time, he noted that there were still 3 to 4 hours until the opening of the Jinshi secret realm, leaving ample time. Given its concealed nature, it likely wasn't worthless debris. Dig, Lu Yu commanded, and a dozen dwarf miners commenced their excavation at the indicated spot. He had no concerns that these 3 would deceive him. They lacked the audacity to do so while standing right beside him. However, the representative from the elderly care center was apprehensive. Typically, He could gauge the quality of the minerals he sensed, but the object below was an exception. He could barely perceive its presence, but all other details eluded him. If that stone turned out to be nothing more than a lump of dung rather than a rare mineral, Master Qingjiu would certainly hold him accountable. In such a case, the three of them might have to return to the city empty-handed. Worse still, rumors were circulating that Qingjiu's professional abilities might even imprison players for 3 days. While most were skeptical of such claims, they were overshadowed by Qingjiu's inexplicable feats from the very beginning. Thus, players, though disbelieving, were reluctant to provoke Qingjiu. And the three from the elderly care center felt the same. Now, all the representative could do was pray that the stone below would indeed be something of great value. The dwarf miners had been digging for nearly half an hour. As they delved deeper into the mountain, the hardness of the rock increased, making the task progressively more arduous. Fortunately, they were now quite close to the depth indicated by the representative. The miners wielded their picks with growing caution. Lu Yu watched intently as one of the miners struck down again, revealing a glimpse of something. No, it was not an eye. It was a patch of darkness as profound as the abyss itself. Lu Yu's eyes widened in disbelief as he gazed upon the stone. This was the Eye of the Abyss. The dwarf miner had unearthed the Eye of the Abyss and presented it before Lu Yu. He held it in his hands. Examining it closely, it was indeed the Eye of the Abyss. In Lu Yu's backpack lay a abyssal eye, acquired from Wang Da's Wai. He took out the abyssal eye. 2 stones nearly identical, yet the one just unearthed was slightly larger. To his surprise, he had discovered the abyssal eye so early in this life. This meant he could enlist an additional ally for his journey into the realm of the other races. Seeing Lu Yu's satisfied expression, Changde Jingluowen couldn't help but wipe the sweat from his brow. Although uncertain of the stone's true nature, it seemed quite valuable. Lu Yu returned the 2 abyssal eyes to his backpack and retrieved a piece of lapis lazuli, tossing it to Changde Jingluowen. The latter hurriedly reached out to catch it, almost losing grip in his excitement, nearly allowing it to fall to the ground. After toiling for so long, he finally beheld some returns. Initially, he thought merely surviving would be a feat, but he was pleasantly surprised by this unexpected gain. Remember the feeling of this, or if you find more in the future, I will purchase it at a high price. If the big boss needs this type of, or I'll excavate it and present it to him. Lu Yu scoffed. Come on, who would believe such nonsense? You'd probably sell it secretly for your own gain. I still stand by my word. I will buy it at a premium, double whatever price others offer you. So before you sell, it's best to consult my price. If you're too timid to meet me, we can also transact through the trading platform. Not at all, Changde Jingluowen replied, though internally he was elated. He now fully understood the value of this stone. Lu Yu deliberately disclosed the worth of the abyssal eye to Changde Jingluowen, unafraid he might inflate the price. The abyssal eye would eventually become a coveted item, scarce in the later stages. Instead of allowing Changde Jingluowen to underestimate the stone and miss out, it was wiser to clarify its value. This way, he would undoubtedly strive to find more, and Lu Yu could acquire additional abyssal eyes. Are there any other minerals nearby? Lu Yu inquired. None, came the reply. Lu Yu nodded. The emergence of a lapis lazuli vein in this area was already a remarkable feat for dozens. Perhaps even 100 miles around, there were likely no other valuable minerals to be found. Since that's the case, let us proceed directly to the center of the secret realm. I shall take my leave. You 3 may do as you wish. With that, Lu Yu headed straight towards the heart of the secret realm. The 3 watched his vanishing figure, breathing a sigh of relief. Brother, is there truly no other mineral in this vicinity? Changde Jingluowen shook his head. Indeed, there is none. Brother, not to criticize you, but how do you know there won't be any minerals nearby? Why not keep a little something up your sleeve? Naichai Guafumin questioned. Changde Jingluowen replied. What do you suggest I conceal? Do you know which of the phrases from Qingjiu is trying to deceive us? Surviving this ordeal is already a blessing. With a kick, the kindergarten enthusiast remarked. Moreover, we have acquired a piece of lapis lazuli. I just perused the forum, and someone has sold their lapis lazuli for 30,000 yuan. 30,000 yuan is sufficient for us 3 to indulge for a while. The discontented knight kicking the widow retorted, what can 30,000 yuan buy? Just enough for each of us to have a bag for a night. The kindergarten enthusiast chuckled. We could share one. Both turned their gaze towards him, only to find him lost in contemplation. Brother, what are you pondering? After a moment of reflection, Fiststrike the elderly care center replied, I was considering what that stone was, given that Qingjiu desires it so fervently. If we could locate more of that, and sell it to Qingjiu, wouldn't we strike it rich? Brother, are you truly considering selling it to Qingjiu? He has brought us nothing but misfortune. Fiststrike the elderly care center shook his head. Indeed, he has caused us great distress. However, currently, apart from him, no one else is aware of the value of that ore. Presently, it can only fetch a high price at Qingjiu's. Chapter 117. Qingya's Sword, Silver Artifact. Lu Yu smiled faintly, recognizing that Fiststrike the elderly care center had a keen insight. The abyssal I had no clear introduction, and others could not discern the utility of such stones. If others were to purchase them at high prices solely based on Lu Yu's attitude, how could they differentiate it from a man-made tulip? In the future, if Lu Yu casually pointed to a stone and declared its high value, would others still be inclined to acquire it? Astute individuals would make decisions based on market trends. The even more astute would seek to understand the underlying reasons behind those trends before making their choices. Once Lu Yu confirmed that Fish Strike the elderly care center had not deceived him, and that there were indeed no minerals left in the vicinity, he severed his telepathic connection with the goblin assassins. He then commanded several goblin assassins to continue stealthily tracking Fish Strike, the elderly care center, and the others. After retrieving the item from the center of the secret realm, if time permitted, Lu Yu intended to continue exploring the area. After all, the opening of the secret realm was not on a fixed schedule. Once it closed this time, the next opening was uncertain. With Fish Strike, the elderly care center, acting as a humanoid detector, the search would be significantly more efficient. Lu Yu made his way westward, and as anticipated, the area was nearly devoid of minerals. He encountered a few wild creatures along the way, which he swiftly dispatched, yielding only a few pieces of black iron. The cost-effectiveness was too low, prompting Lu Yu to ignore the wild creatures and hasten directly to the center of the secret realm. He was not in a rush to utilize the several hundred pieces of lapis lazuli and steel in his backpack. Such quality materials were far too extravagant for practice. He planned to seek out Wu Tianzhu after exiting the secret realm to procure some blueprints from the old man. Last time, he had forgotten to request benefits from the old man due to being overwhelmed by Sun Hanyu's presence. After all, he had indeed provided the old man with a secure refuge. As he journeyed onward, Lu Yu remained industrious, holding in his hands a ready-made blueprint for the Qingya sword. With ample materials at his disposal, while traversing the path, he busily hammered away, the system's notifications ringing in his ears. System notification, congratulations. You have successfully forged Qingya sword, black iron. Forging experience, 20. Weapon forging experience, 20. System notification, congratulations. You have successfully forged Qingya sword, bronze. Forging experience, 50. Weapon forging experience, 50. System notification, congratulations. You have successfully forged Qingya sword, black iron. Forging experience, 20. Weapon forging experience, 20. System notification, congratulations. You have successfully forged Qingya sword, black iron. Forging experience, 20. Weapon forging experience, 20. In no time, hundreds of Qingya stones transformed into swords of varying quality. The majority were of black iron, with fewer than 10 being bronze, and not a single silver quality sword in sight. Furrowing his brow, Lu Yu pondered that, according to the blueprint, it should have been feasible to craft a silver quality Qingya sword. With over 30 swords forged, how could it be that none reached silver quality? Was the probability truly that low? Gazing at the last 3 Qingya stones in his possession, frustration mingled with anticipation arose within him. It resembled the experience of drawing cards without a guarantee, furious over the hundreds of attempts yielding nothing, yet still fervently hoping for the next 10 draws. He placed the Qingya stones in iron ore into their respective slots, silently vowing, should no silver quality piece emerge this time, I shall never forge a Qingya sword again. He clicked the forging button. After a cacophony of sounds, a crisp system notification echoed. System notification, congratulations, you have successfully forged Qingya sword, silver. Forging experience, 100. Weapon forging experience, 100. System notification, your profession, armorer, has leveled up. You are now an intermediate armorer. WOC. A silver quality piece finally emerged. Lu Yu hastily opened the attribute panel of the Qingya sword. Qingya sword, silver, level, 25 attack, 200 attack speed, 11 effect. Fury, after every 3 attacks. The next attack is guaranteed to be a critical hit. Description. The blade is honed from perseverance, embodying the forger's restrained rage. Lu Yu smacked his lips. The effect was commendable, yet the description seemed to mock him. No matter, this sword was not for his own use. It would be gifted to someone untroubled by the world. The bronze Qingya sword he had previously promised to give still lingered in his backpack, forgotten outside the secret realm. Perfectly, the bronze sword was now unfit for gifting, but this newly forged silver sword was just right. The golden cloaked piece meant for Rumingjiang and also remained in Lu Yu's backpack. In truth, he could wear that cloak himself. Perhaps he would decide once he emerged from the secret realm. Lu Yu suppressed the urge to don the cloak himself. It was a feminine design, unsuitable for his stature. He decided against utilizing the remaining ores, as he had already ascended to the rank of intermediate armorsmith. With a considerable distance yet to traverse before reaching the level of advanced armorsmith, there was no haste in amassing further experience points. Continuing westward, Lu Yu noted that the black iron mine had been completely excavated, and the mining summons had been recalled. Along the way, he encountered several players who had not taken up any secondary professions, visibly distressed as they faced the black iron mine. Some attempted to extract the minerals with their weapons, only to receive system notifications indicating that they had compromised the internal structure of the ore, yielding nothing but a pile of rubble. Following this expedition into the secret realm, the number of players pursuing secondary professions would undoubtedly surge, as they had begun to recognize the significance of such pursuits. However, many players would likely prioritize their primary professions, for the strength of one's main vocation determined their standing within the game. A dialogue box appeared, a message from the pure-hearted youth. Big brother, I've spotted Ao Shi and Xing Tian. He has gathered around 50 players from AO Sure and is heading toward the center of the secret realm, along with a message. A coordinate indicating Xing Tian's current location was provided. Lu Yu glanced at the map. Xing Tian was still several hundred miles from the center of the secret realm, with a journey that would take at least half a day. Given the wild monsters along the way, it would likely take a full day. Even at full speed, Lu Yu estimated he would require just over half a day to reach the secret realm's center, leaving ample time. Lu Yu replied to the pure-hearted youth. All right. I am on my way. Big brother, should I go and take down Xing Tian? This girl was truly audacious, contemplating confronting the leader of a faction with over 50 members. No rush. Xing Tian is quite skilled, and his class excels in duels. If you were to falter, it would be a significant loss. Just keep an eye on them. Understood, big brother. I'll wait for you to arrive before we engage. Chapter 118. The Wild Dragon Guild closing the dialogue box with the pure-hearted youth. Lu Yu pressed on, with the black-headed eagle scouting ahead. Suddenly, a throng of players came into view. Approximately several hundred individuals bore IDs beginning with Wild Dragon. These were members of the Wild Dragon Guild, demonstrating impressive organization by assembling such a sizable group in the secret realm in such a short time. Prominent figures such as Wild Dragon, Gun God, and Dragon Sniper were present, yet their leader, Wild Dragon Long Hun, was conspicuously absent. The hundreds of Wild Dragon players were engaged in a fierce battle against a level 40 boss, the Black Rock Wolf King, which boasted high defense, formidable attack power, and swift mobility, ranking among the more powerful bosses of its tier. The Wild Dragon members struggled against the beast, with players frequently transformed into white light and returning to the fountain. It became evident to Lu Yu that the primary objective of the Wild Dragon members in the secret realm was not the ores, but rather the construction orders, as higher-tier bosses were indeed more likely to yield such valuable rewards. However, the premise is that one must possess the capability to vanquish the boss. This boss battle is unlikely to be orchestrated by the Dragon Soul organization. Otherwise, with that individual's discernment, such an error would be inconceivable. From the previous life onward, Lu Yu has maintained a favorable impression of the Mad Dragon Guild, and this life mirrors that sentiment. Presently, many prominent guilds are monopolizing territories to level up, occupying the most efficient hunting grounds, leaving solo players to be mercilessly beaten back to the Resurrection Springs. In stark contrast, the Mad Dragon Guild has consistently shared the wilderness with ordinary players, sometimes even intervening when solitary players are bullied by smaller guilds. It can be said that under the leadership of Dragon Soul, the Mad Dragon Guild stands out as one of the few benevolent guilds for humans in the early stages. At this moment, Gun God and Dragon Sniper are in a state of utter anxiety, with their numbers dwindling. They have finally realized that their several hundred members may not only fail to defeat the Black Rock Wolf King, but could potentially perish entirely in this endeavor. A glance exchanged between the two speaks volumes. What should they do? Retreat? Yet, after investing so many resources and having reduced the boss to half health, leaving now feels profoundly unsatisfying. Not retreating? Given the current circumstances, it seems they are heading towards total annihilation. In each other's eyes, they see struggle and hesitation. If only Dragon Soul were present. Gun God, momentarily distracted, falters in his actions and fails to evade a falling rock from the Black Rock Wolf King, sustaining significant damage. He hurriedly retreats to consume a health potion, but his vitality remains perilously low. The Black Rock Wolf King has now fixed its gaze upon him. And as an elemental archer adept in both martial and magical arts, his arrows inflict both physical and magical damage. While the Wolf King's physical resistance is formidable, its magical resistance is notably weak. The 10 points of health it has lost were all due to Gun God's efforts. Now that it has the chance to eliminate this most bothersome foe, it would not easily relent. Seeing Gun God being pursued, Dragon Sniper feels an urgent pang of anxiety. The reason he has hesitated to decisively retreat is that Gun God's output offers a glimmer of hope. However, with Gun God now in a desperate flight, the priest's healing is insufficient to keep up. If Gun God suffers even a single hit from the Black Rock Wolf King, he is doomed. And this boss strategy will be forcibly terminated. Hundreds have already perished. How will they explain their failure to defeat the boss when Dragon Soul's leader comes online? Mad Dragon. Gun God is no longer in a position to contemplate such matters. He is entirely focused on his escape, fully aware that if he falls in this boss battle, it will spell his doom. Yet, his speed is inherently inferior to that of the Black Rock Wolf King. Previously, with a tank shielding him, he could withstand the onslaught. Now, with the Wolf King seizing the opportunity to pursue him relentlessly, he finds himself struggling to cope. Sometimes, in the face of absolute power, showcasing skill becomes a mere farce. When confronted with a wide-range attack, there is little room for any display of finesse. The Black Rock Wolf King once again unleashed its rockfall skill, causing a multitude of stones to plummet from the sky, rendering escape impossible. Gun God sighed, expressing his regrets to the Dragon Soul leader. Before entering the operating room, the leader entrusted the gang to him and Dragon Sniper. The two had initially planned to craft a guild decree as a surprise for the leader's return. However, unexpectedly, the decree remained unproduced. And now the Wild Dragon was reducing everyone's levels. Gun God closed his eyes, prepared to retreat to the spring and immediately take his team to level up. Suddenly, he felt his body lighten, as if an invisible force was pulling him swiftly beyond the reach of the rockfall skill. Rocks crashed down before him, stirring up clouds of dust. Gun God hurriedly turned around and saw a towering goblin gazing directly at him. Who could this be? Lu Yu emerged from behind the goblin general. "Thank you, Master Qingjio, for saving me," he said, a hint of relief in his voice. Lu Yu smirked slightly. "Did you miscalculate your strength and rashly engage the boss? Now you're in quite the predicament, aren't you?" Gun God whispered. "Actually, I calculated with Dragon Sniper that with 400 players attacking together for 2 hours, we could defeat it. But for some reason, you think the boss is a mere wooden target, standing still for you to strike? I can tell you didn't account for casualties in your calculations. The boss can eliminate one of your frontliners in less than half a minute. At this rate, your numbers will dwindle, and where will those 400 players be then?" Gun God suddenly realized, no wonder it was becoming increasingly difficult. With such a crew, you still consider yourselves the core of the Wild Dragon? If Dragon Soul were here, would he make such a fundamental mistake? Gun God unconsciously lowered his head. Unbeknownst to him, Lu Yu had taken on a parental role. While Gun God resembled a child who had erred. Ahead, the Skeleton General and the Goblin General had already engaged the boss, while the Wild Dragon members withdrew completely. Dragon Sniper approached, ready to express his gratitude, but upon catching Lu Yu's glare, he instantly refrained from speaking. Lu Yu continued, "Knowing full well that this boss cannot be defeated, yet you persist. Are you determined to lead all your guild members to ruin?" Dragon Sniper mumbled. "I still believe there is hope." "Oh, you believe there is hope? Then by all means, continue your assault," Lu Yu replied, motioning to withdraw the Skeleton General and Goblin General. Gun God quickly intervened. "Master Qingjio, your reprimands are well-deserved. Our leader has previously told us that while you may have destroyed the spring in the novice village, it could very well have been a great service. Ever since you did that, players have been leaving the novice village at an ever-increasing pace." Upon hearing this, Lu Yu was somewhat taken aback. Typically, no one would pay attention to such matters. This Dragon Soul truly is not an ordinary individual. Lu Yu glanced at the condition of the Black Rock Wolf King. Both its golden body and death recovery had already been activated. However, against 2 generals, it stood no chance whatsoever, not even an opportunity to flee. Soon, when the boss perished, any guild establishment token would belong to me, while the remaining items would be yours. If no guild establishment token dropped, the spoils would be shared equally. No sooner had Lu Yu finished speaking than the Black Rock Wolf King vanished into his summoning space. At the sight of its demise, 4 items fell. There was no token, but there was a dark brown skill book. Chapter 119, Rockfall Technique. Long Jio remarked, "Master Qingjio, since you defeated the boss, we cannot claim the drops. You also diminished half of the boss's health. Thus, taking half of the items is only fair." The Gun God hurriedly added, "Master, according to the rules, all items should rightfully belong to you. We cannot take them. Your act of saving us will be acknowledged once our leader returns." With that, he waved to the remaining members of the Mad Dragon Guild, and they promptly turned to leave. "Wait a moment. Does the master have further instructions?" Lu Yu took a deep breath and said, "My best friend was recently in a car accident. The doctor advised him to recuperate in the game pod. He has been recovering well these past few days and is in good spirits. You may allow Long Hun to rest in the game pod for a while longer." Long Jio and the Gun God exchanged glances and bowed to Lu Yu together, saying, "Thank you, Master Qingjio. We shall certainly relay your suggestion to our leader." With that, the 2 of them, along with the remaining 100+ members, headed south. It appeared they intended to continue leveling up in the midsection and were not planning to venture into the heart of the secret realm. Lu Yu exhaled softly. If his memory served him correctly, Long Hun was suffering from a terminal illness and would pass away in 3 months. After Long Hun's demise, the Mad Dragon Guild would inevitably decline. Lu Yu did not wish for such a guild to fade into obscurity. Individuals like Long Hun would be the backbone in the battles against foreign races in the future. However, he dared not express this too explicitly and could only subtly hint at it. Moreover, Chunju's current state also somewhat validated the efficacy of the game pod in healing. Even if it could not cure ailments, being able to enter the abyss before death was still a blessing. He hoped Long Hun would heed his advice and spend more time in the game. Watching the Gun God and the others depart, Lu Yu bent down to collect the drops from the Black Rock Wolf King. Among the 4 items were 2 black iron ores. Lu Yu grimaced. They were rather disappointing. There was also a piece of equipment, a pair of silver boots. Upon comparing them to his own shadowless boots, he found their attributes quite similar. Though the effect was inferior to that of the shadowless boots, he tossed them into his backpack, intending to gift them to that innocent young girl. The bronze shoes he had previously meant to give her still resided in his backpack. Perhaps he would store those in the guild warehouse. The final item was a skill book. Lu Yu had long been aware of this skill book. Defeating a boss yielded skill books that were far more elusive than equipment. Falling Rock, Skill Introduction, summons falling rocks from the sky, inflicting indiscriminate damage on targets within a range of 88. This was the area skill of the Black Rock Wolf King. Lu Yu felt a surge of excitement. During his time at the General's Tomb, he had yearned for a ranged skill, yet it had remained out of reach. Unexpectedly, a fortuitous encounter with a boss had granted him this boon. An attack range of 88 was quite substantial. As long as the opponent was not at the edge of the skill-less radius and did not employ skills like blink or charge, they would invariably take damage. Moreover, Lu Yu had just witnessed the Black Rock Wolf King casting its skill. The summoned rocks, if imbued with flames, resembled meteors descending from the heavens. Without hesitation, Lu Yu clicked to learn the skill, and a brand new ability appeared in his skill bar, Falling Rock Technique. Effect: summons a multitude of falling rocks from the void, delivering indiscriminate attacks on hostile targets within a range of 88, with damage scaling according to the user's spell power. Cooldown: 30 seconds. Cost: 400 mana. Proficiency: 0-1000. Lu Yu waved his staff, and meteors rained down from several meters away. He had always invested all his points into spell power, which was significantly higher than that of the Black Rock Wolf King, a physical creature. The summoned rocks were thus even more magnificent in their descent. After a cloud of dust settled, the area affected by the falling rock technique was piled high with rocks over a meter tall. If a player were to stand within the skill's range, they would likely be obliterated instantly. What a thrill. Area attacks were undeniably gratifying. Had Lu Yu possessed such a skill during his time at the General's Tomb, he would not have needed to engage in a battle of wits with the naive youth. With a single cast, regardless of whether the opponent was a denizen of the Abyss, they would all be swept away. However, if that were the case, the current Lord of the Abyss would surely lose a pivotal ally. Lu Yu sent a message to the naive youth, confirming the location of the Aoshi Guild. To his surprise, he discovered that Aoshi Xingtian had barely made any progress in the past half hour, instead waiting for other guild members to assemble. According to the naive youth's observations, the Aoshi Guild had already gathered at least 500 members, and this number was continually rising. Lu Yu furrowed his brow. Was Xingtian planning to wait until everyone had arrived before proceeding? This seemed rather amiss. Xingtian undoubtedly knew that Lu Yu aimed to disrupt his mission. The logical course of action would have been to reach the center of the secret realm as swiftly as possible. He should have secured the objective before Lu Yu's arrival and then immediately used a return scroll. Now, every player in Lingfeng City was aware that Lu Yu possessed countless summoned beasts. No matter how many players Xingtian gathered, they would merely serve as fodder. Why was he wasting time? Naive youth. Do you see Zhu Xiaochuan in the crowd? Who is Zhu Xiaochuan? In the realm of Aoshi. Xiaochuan appeared to be absent yet again. With a moment's pause, Lu Yu decided to check once more, but quickly dismissed the thought. He closed the dialogue box and sprinted towards the heart of the secret realm with unyielding speed. Unexpectedly, Xingtian had begun to pursue him in a surreptitious manner. Although acquiring that coveted item alone seemed a daunting task, it was not entirely impossible, particularly since Zhu Xiaochuan was a messenger of the underworld, endowed with numerous teleportation and mobility skills. If the timing were right, he might indeed manage to seize the item. Lu Yu inhaled deeply, reassuring himself that there was still time. Even if Zhu Xiaochuan exerted himself to the utmost, he would not arrive at the core of the secret realm any quicker than Lu Yu could navigate it, guided by the wisdom garnered from his previous life. The midsection of the realm was teeming with level 40 to 50 wild creatures, yet Lu Yu hesitated not in his advance. When an unwitting beast charged at him, he commanded his skeletal general and goblin general to dispatch it with a swift strike. Faced with more formidable foes, he simply left a few skeletons to hold the line while he pressed on at full speed. Other players caught sight of Lu Yu's swift figure and contemplated approaching him to exchange greetings or seek his favor. However, upon meeting his lethal gaze, they all halted in their tracks. During his journey, he encountered Du Guohua and merely nodded in haste, showing no signs of slowing down. Champion, is that the one known as Qing Jiu? Du Guohua mused, observing Lu Yu's urgency. He must be off to confront Aoshi. Come, let us join the fray. With the return of their chief, Du Guohua felt emboldened and even entertained the thought of engaging in battle with a few other major guilds. The previous two guild wars had been particularly frustrating. Chapter 120. Being followed brother. I searched the area and found no sign of Zhu Xiaochuan. He is not with Xingtian. This outcome was anticipated by Lu Yu. I understand. Keep an eye on Xingtian. Brother, Xingtian has already begun to move, leading his group in this direction. The innocent youth sent over a coordinate. Lu Yu marked it on the map and compared it to his own location. Something feels off. Based on the speed of both parties, it was highly probable that he would encounter Aoshi members at the marked point. It seemed that Xingtian had deliberately come to intercept him. How could he possibly know Lu Yu's whereabouts? Had he unknowingly become the target of surveillance? Lu Yu pressed on, yet his gaze began to dart about, scanning his surroundings. He had not previously considered the possibility of being trailed. After all, with his current strength, who would dare to provoke him? But now, he realized that he was indeed being followed, and that the pursuer was most likely affiliated with Aoshi. The rocky terrain surrounding him made it challenging to spot someone in a stealthy state through mere observation. Yet, it was not an insurmountable task. Lu Yu quickly discerned a faint sound of footsteps lingering just to his left, a mere few meters away. In a state of stealth, while the sounds produced by his movements were minimized, they were not entirely eradicated, except for the pure-hearted youth, whose profession bore a peculiar nature. Upon discerning the rough location of that individual, Lu Yu wasted no time and promptly unleashed the rockfall technique. A substantial mass of stones plummeted from the void, crashing down with a thunderous roar to Lu Yu's left. This time, the footfalls became markedly more distinct. Lu Yu could even deduce the evasive maneuvers of that person in response to the falling debris. The individual moved swiftly, if classified at level 20. He must have at least donned a pair of golden quality boots. It was astonishing that someone from the proud world possessed golden gear. Could it possibly be Zhu Xiaochuan? If it were indeed Zhu Xiaochuan, there would be no need for Lu Yu to hasten towards the core of the secret realm. However, did not the underworld envoy only acquire skills akin to stealth after his transformation? The figure nimbly dodged the falling rocks, striving to escape the radius of the rockfall technique. Yet, the area of effect was too vast. Despite his considerable speed, he was ultimately struck by a falling stone. The silhouette was forced out of its stealth state. In the next instant, the individual brandished a cloak, vanishing from sight once more. However, in that fleeting moment, Lu Yu had clearly observed him. His dark skin and physique bore resemblance to that of a human. He was not of the human race, but rather of the underworld. It appeared that Xingtian had indeed allied himself with the underworld clan. Clearly, this underworld individual wished to keep his identity concealed from Lu Yu, merely assisting Xingtian in monitoring his actions. Yet, it was unforeseen that Lu Yu, having mastered area skills, had developed a certain countermeasure against stealth. The underworld clan's presence in the Golden Stone secret realm was an exceedingly dire situation. Should that artifact fall into their hands, humanity could potentially lose access to a vital resource within the secret realm. No. It was imperative that this object not be allowed to fall into the grasp of the underworld clan, nor could it be permitted to be seized by the proud world. There was no certainty whether they would deliver the artifact to the city lord, Song Qing'an, or engage in trade with the underworld. After all, in Xingtian's perspective, this underworld clan was merely an NPC within the game. Now, with the underworld individual having vanished, Lu Yu had no intention of exerting further effort in pursuit. He understood that besides this underworld figure trailing him, there was yet another whose whereabouts remained unknown. Should he become entangled with this underworld being, the other might seize the opportunity to claim the artifact. The secret realm crystal allowed for the extraction of 1/10 of the unique resources each time the realm refreshed. It also served as the key to determining whether the secret realm would open after its refresh. At present, the foremost priority was to reach the core of the secret realm and safeguard the crystal. The matters concerning the underworld could be addressed later. Lu Yu glanced at the map. In less than half an hour, he would encounter individuals from the proud world. Though he dismissed the thousands under the banner of Aoshi, their obstruction would undoubtedly consume precious time. Even the slaughter of 1,000 pigs requires a significant investment of time. How much more so when faced with 1,000 players? Moreover, the incessant presence of Xingtian, the songster of the abyss, was a source of great annoyance. Every fleeting moment was of utmost importance. Where are our pure-hearted comrades now? Scattered throughout the map, Lu Yu seemed to have a solid plan. His guild members, including the dwarf miners gifted by him, could extract natural ores without needing to gather and engage in combat with wild beasts for resources. In fact, dispersing would yield greater efficiency in mining. Thus, he resolved to rely on himself, believing he could resolve the conflict within 5 minutes. Just then, a message from Du Guohua flashed on his screen. Brother Qingjiu, are you planning to clash with the Aoshi faction again? Lu Yu swiftly replied. The Aoshi faction intends to ambush me. But I have urgent business at the Mystic Center and cannot afford to delay even for a minute. Is it those 1,000 or so led by Xingtian? Indeed. You proceed with your path. I'll take care of Xingtian's men. Lu Yu felt a surge of joy. Are you nearby? I noticed your hurried pace earlier and guessed you were about to confront them. I've been irritated by them for quite some time as well. Continue to the Mystic Center. I will intercept them with my team. Thank you. Don't mention it. Just remember our earlier agreement. When you obtain the second guild establishment decree, sell it to me first. I won't forget. With that, Lu Yu closed the chat window, shaking off all doubts, and accelerated towards the Mystic Center. This was precisely why, despite being a lone force akin to an army, he sought to establish a guild. A single individual, no matter how formidable, possesses finite energy and may falter in their focus. In the abyss, solitary wanderers seldom emerge victorious. Lu Yu opened the chat box with a pure-hearted youth. You will accompany me to this location. He sent the coordinates near the mystic core. Understood, brother. What about Xingtian? Leave him to others. You need not concern yourself. At your command, brother. A skilled assassin was indeed the most fitting counter to another. Lu Yu had already found an appropriate adversary for the specter tracking him. System notification. Player, Aoshi, Xiaochuan, has become the first to enter the mystic core, earning the system reward, Amethyst, Diamond Quality, X5, as an encouragement for others to strive harder. Lu Yu's expression darkened. Zhu Xiaochuan had indeed reached the Mystic Center and successfully entered the Mystic Core. Chapter 121. Professionals engaging in professional matters. Lu Yu glanced at the map. Within half an hour, he and the pure-hearted youth would arrive. He hoped that during this interval, Zhu Xiaochuan had not discovered the Mystic Crystal. He directly muted all communication and hastened towards the core of the secret realm. Along the way, he could distinctly perceive that the surrounding ores were becoming increasingly rare. Silver-quality ores were no longer uncommon, and even gold-quality ores could occasionally be spotted. However, these ores were surrounded by numerous level 60 wild monsters, making it challenging for ordinary players to mine them. Lu Yu, intent on reaching the core of the secret realm, paid no mind to these ores. Nevertheless, their presence indicated that he was drawing closer to his destination. At last, Lu Yu beheld a translucent monolith, emanating a faint purple glow. Indeed, this was the entrance to the core of the secret realm. He charged at the monolith, and instead of suffering injury, he was absorbed into it. Within the monolith lay an entirely new world. The sun shone brightly, birds sang sweetly, and streams babbled melodiously, forming a stark contrast to the dark rocky exterior. To the untrained eye, many might mistake this for a paradise. However, Lu Yu understood that one must tread carefully here, for every flower and tree could be lethal. He pondered the whereabouts of Zhu Xiaochuan, knowing only that he had yet to acquire the secret realm crystal. Lu Yu was certain that Zhu Xiaochuan had not fallen prey to the local monsters. Although he held a grudge against Zhu Xiaochuan, he acknowledged his skills. As a top-tier player and a shadow envoy, he would not easily meet his demise unless he sought it out. Since he had arrived, it was time to explore the waters. Lu Yu summoned his skeletal minions and dispersed them. The core of the secret realm encompassed roughly a 10-mile radius. While locating a small secret realm crystal might prove difficult, finding a living person would not. As long as no one else was present, Lu Yu could search at his leisure. The dispersed skeletons soon faced relentless attacks. An ordinary-looking flower suddenly unfurled its petals, transforming into a level 60 elite monster, which devoured one skeletal minion whole. A seemingly mundane boulder extended a hand, striking down upon a shield-bearing skeleton. Such scenes repeated as the skeletal minions continued to expand outward. However, Lu Yu commanded thousands of skeletal minions. When one was ambushed, the surrounding minions immediately retaliated. Within moments, they cleared the area of several hundred meters completely. A figure materialized beside Lu Yu. "Big brother, who should I target?" Startled, Lu Yu feigned calm upon hearing the address. The girl's stealth was impeccable. Had she not revealed herself, Lu Yu would not have sensed anyone had crept so close. "There exists a member of the Netherkin, a wild creature, who has been stealthily tracking me." The Netherkin? This particular breed of wild creature has scarcely made its appearance within the confines of Lingfeng City. Leaving the innocent youth somewhat bewildered, Lu Yu promptly summoned the creature known as Yumi, which bears a striking resemblance to the one that has been following me. The innocent youth scrutinized Yumi carefully, nodding as he recorded the salient characteristics of this race. "I intend to seek out Zhu Xiaochuan and entrust this wild creature to you. What do you think?" "Very well, my brother, you may rest assured." The innocent youth's gaze darted towards a corner, as if she had already caught wind of some subtle clues. Lu Yu produced a pair of silver shoes dropped by the Black Rock Wolf King. "These are for you. That wild creature should be around level 40, so exercise caution." The innocent youth's eyes sparkled with excitement as she took the shoes and promptly vanished from sight. In the next moment, a dark silhouette emerged from its stealthy state. The shadow swiftly made its escape, and the innocent youth pursued relentlessly, with both figures soon disappearing from Lu Yu's line of sight. Lu Yu exhaled softly, feeling a sense of relief. All this time, although he had suspected the presence of the Netherkin, it was difficult to ascertain their exact location while sprinting at such speed. Yet, upon the innocent youth's arrival, she was able to locate the creature immediately and even delivered a precise backstab. Indeed, it is best to leave professional matters to the professionals. The task of dealing with the Netherkin could be entrusted to the innocent youth. The remainder was left to him. Lu Yu surveyed his surroundings. The crystallized essence of the secret realm would not be conspicuously placed. Instead, it would likely disguise itself, perhaps resembling a stone lying beneath the water's surface. However, the crystallized essence possesses a distinctive characteristic. There will invariably be something extraordinary surrounding it, such as an abundance of high-level wild creatures or vast deposits of ore. Numerous locations within the core of the secret realm exhibit similar traits, and by leveraging this characteristic, one can significantly narrow the search area. The summoned beasts continued to expand their search radius, while Lu Yu scoured the vicinity for traces left by the previous battles of his summoned creatures, seeking signs of the crystallized essence. Suddenly, he sensed a skeleton soldier under attack, not from a wild creature, but from a player. Zhu Xiaochuan. Lu Yu hastily employed his psychic vision and indeed beheld a familiar face. Clutching a return scroll in his left hand, his right fist was clenched. Faint glimmers of light flickering within. The crystallized essence. Lu Yu was taken aback, astonished that this fellow had already located the crystallized essence. He must have intended to return immediately, but the skeleton soldier, mistaking him for a wild creature, interrupted his return state. The skeleton soldier would act solely according to its predetermined commands. Lu Yu commanded them to eliminate all living beings on the path, and it was evident that Zhu Xiaochuan was also considered a target by the skeletal soldiers. Fortunately, Lu Yu's earlier command did not include the eradication of surrounding wild monsters. Otherwise, Zhu Xiaochuan might have escaped with a mystical realm crystal. One could only lament the misfortune of this fellow. Lu Yu instructed the summoned beasts around to converge upon Zhu Xiaochuan. This individual possessed an abundance of displacement skills, and a moment's negligence could allow him to slip away. Lu Yu aimed to completely encircle that area, leaving him with no means of escape. Realizing that the number of skeletal soldiers around him was increasing, Zhu Xiaochuan understood he had been discovered. Attempting to return to the city using a teleportation scroll was no longer an option. Gritting his teeth, he glanced at the initial skeletal soldier and then charged headlong into the spear it wielded. Lu Yu's expression changed. This fellow was gambling on luck, wagering whether the mystical realm crystal would be dropped upon his demise. Chapter 122. I do not gamble on luck. The shorter the duration of the items obtained after a player's death, the greater the likelihood that they would be dropped. However, this probability was far from 100. Zhu Xiaochuan comprehended that he could no longer safely return to the spring. Confronting Lu Yu was equally futile. Rather than being robbed of the mystical realm crystal only to be killed, he resolved to attempt suicide now. In doing so, there was a considerable chance that the mystical realm crystal would not be dropped. If the game allowed self-inflicted harm, Zhu Xiaochuan would have already inflicted several wounds upon himself. Zhu Xiaochuan's desperate gambit left Lu Yu feeling both helpless and amused. He was reluctant to let Zhu Xiaochuan perish in such a manner. The latter was forced to gamble on luck, while Lu Yu had no desire to take such risks. The advantage was clearly on my side. When Lu Yu arrived, Zhu Xiaochuan had already fallen to below half health. He stripped off his equipment and charged wildly among the skeletal soldiers. As long as no skeletal soldier attacked him, he would use the teleportation scroll. If a skeletal soldier interrupted his return to the city, he would crash into them with all his might. Zhu Xiaochuan found himself compelled to resort to such a desperate strategy, a top-tier expert reduced to employing such unscrupulous tactics. Yet, he could think of no alternative escape. Now, with only a sliver of health remaining, he needed to be struck by a skeletal soldier just once more to be able to return to the spring. As for whether the mystical realm crystal would be dropped, it was left to fate. Zhu Xiaochuan charged headlong towards the spear of the skeletal soldier, positioning his body to direct the tip towards his most vulnerable point. Thud! The sound of metal piercing flesh echoed. It hurt immensely. Zhu Xiaochuan gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, and awaited his demise. However, after a considerable time, the sensation of floating did not manifest, and the agony of the spear piercing his chest remained excruciating. Opening his eyes, Zhu Xiaochuan saw Lu Yu, staff in hand, casting a green glow upon him. Healing spell. Lu Yu smiled faintly. Without my consent, you shall not perish. This statement fell harshly upon Zhu Xiaochuan's ears. Gritting his teeth, he yearned to drive the spear deeper. Surviving now might soon become a distant hope. This was the first time Zhu Xiaochuan had ever harbored such a fervent desire for death. Yet, in the next moment, his body began to retreat, the spear withdrawing from his flesh, accompanied by a fresh wave of excruciating pain. The Goblin General's overwhelming power lifted Zhu Xiaochuan into the air, leaving him bereft of any support. Lu, I know you covet the crystal from the secret realm, but it currently resides in my backpack, and I have no intention of relinquishing it to you. The only way you can obtain it is by killing me and forcing the crystal out. Yet that outcome remains unchanged. Ultimately, who claims it will depend on our fortune? Lu Yu shook his head. In times past, I might have relied on luck, but now, I have grown weary of such capriciousness. Humph, you still cannot access my backpack. The result will remain the same. Lu Yu merely shook his head and opened a chat with Ru Meng Jiangnan. You possess a resurrection skill, do you not? Ru Meng Jiangnan replied, indeed. Why do you ask, Guildmaster? Have you met your demise? If I were truly dead, I would have long since been sent to the Fountain of Rebirth. Why would I seek your resurrection spell? No, not the fountain. With this notorious red name, I would likely end up in the prison of Lingfeng City. I'll send you a coordinate. Could you come over? All right, Guildmaster, please wait an hour. I'll finish mining here first. There are so many blue cliff stones. Are you really making me wait an hour for a few pieces of black iron? Lu Yu sent over the attributes and coordinates of the golden cloak. Can you arrive in half an hour? Less than half an hour. I'll be there shortly. Ru Meng Jiangnan demeanor shifted dramatically, her response becoming brisk. Lu Yu clicked his tongue, relieved he hadn't revealed the cloak earlier. Zhu Xiaochuan, noticing Lu Yu's indifference, felt a sense of foreboding. Could he truly have a method to access his backpack? Impossible. The backpack could only be opened by its owner, as per system settings. Lu Yu could not alter the system. With this thought, Zhu Xiaochuan regained his confidence. Observing the fluctuating expressions on Zhu Xiaochuan's face, Lu Yu surmised his thoughts. Indeed, I cannot access your backpack. However, the items within do not require the bag to be opened for retrieval. That is no different from before. No need for haste. You will understand shortly. After about 20 minutes, the young girl from Jiangnan rushed over, panting. Guildmaster, I have arrived. What is the cooldown for your resurrection spell? It can be used within 3 seconds of the target's death, with a 15-minute cooldown. Why, Guildmaster, who is planning to die? Lu Yu pointed at Zhu Xiaochuan him. I will kill him shortly, and then you shall resurrect him. Understood. As the enchanting Ru Meng Jiangnan spoke, her eyes remained fixed on Lu Yu. Lu Yu produced a golden cloak and handed it to her, cautioning, don't truly let him perish. In an instant, Ru Meng Jiangnan's face lit up with joy. Rest assured, leader, if the king of hell decrees his death at the 3rd watch, I shall safeguard him until the 5th. Zhu Xiaochuan's eyes widened in astonishment. A resurrection skill? Does that mean Lu Yu could kill himself repeatedly? He could even strip himself bare and leave no trace behind. Just as Zhu Xiaochuan marveled at this, the skeletal general's great sword descended, and Zhu Xiaochuan collapsed to the ground. A crystal, shimmering with a violet glow, emerged from the aftermath. Huh, what a stroke of bad luck. Dying just once and already dropping a secret realm crystal, he mused. Ru Mingjiang, Nan waved her staff, causing Zhu Xiaochuan's level to drop by 1, and he was resurrected with but a sliver of health, only to be immediately ensnared by the goblin general and rendered immobile. Before Zhu Xiaochuan's eyes, Lu Yu picked up the secret realm crystal. It seems that even in a game of chance, you cannot outmatch me. Zhu Xiaochuan gritted his teeth, about to speak, when the skeletal general's sword fell once more. This time, without the resurrection skill, Zhu Xiaochuan was sent back to the spring. At the spot of his demise, a curved dagger and several pieces of purple crystal lay scattered. Leader, I thought you had me revive him to torment him, Ru Mingjiang pouted, already adorned in the cloak. Lu Yu shook his head. Your skill's cooldown is too lengthy, and I have more pressing matters at hand. So much time had elapsed. He wondered how the pure-hearted youth fared against the specter of the underworld. Lu Yu had confidence in the pure-hearted youth, yet the underworld tribe was notoriously formidable, especially those chosen to infiltrate the human realm with ulterior motives. As Lu Yu opened the chat window with the pure-hearted youth, a message promptly arrived. Big brother, I've been sent back to town for free. You must be cautious. Chapter 123. The secret realm crystal. The pure-hearted youth had been slain? Lu Yu felt a flicker of surprise. Was the underworld tribe truly that powerful? I recall you weren't marked in red. Did you lose anything of significance? Woo woo woo. Big brother, I didn't realize you cared for me. I thought you merely viewed me as a tool, came the response. How could a young girl be just a tool? Lu Yu mused. I only lost a pair of black iron bracers. The shoes and necklace you gave me were untouched. That's fortunate. One piece of black iron equipment is no great loss. It's only natural for the deceased to drop something. Find a place to level up on your own. I shall confront that individual. Big brother, that person has likely already departed. How do you know? When I pursued him, he seemed disinterested in battle. After he unexpectedly dispatched me, I saw him leave the core of the secret realm. You pursued him relentlessly, only to meet a tragic end at his hands. It appears that the Spectral clan had no intention of engaging in combat from the outset. It was only when cornered that they were compelled to retaliate. Contemplating this, Lu Yu's anxiety deepened. A formidable expert from the Spectral clan could have easily dispatched a child with a single strike. Why then did he refrain from acting? Perhaps he feared revealing too much of himself, thus attracting unwarranted attention. This further suggested that they were clandestinely plotting something significant. But what could their scheme entail? Master, is there anything else for me here? If not, I shall proceed to mine, she inquired. Lu Yu nodded. You may leave. All right then, farewell, master. Should such matters arise in the future, do remember to call upon me, she chirped. The matter she referred to was certainly not about resurrecting others. Observing the girl, lively and bouncing as she exited the core of the secret realm, Lu Yu retrieved the realm crystal from his backpack. In his previous life, the first secret realm was the Cordyceps realm, and he had never known who possessed that realm crystal. However, this time, it was firmly within his grasp. Goldstone Realm Crystal, Special Item, Effect 1. Each time the Goldstone Realm refreshes, you may acquire a certain quantity of resources from it. Effect 2. After the Goldstone Realm refreshes, you can decide whether to activate the realm. Description: Mastering the Realm Crystal equates to seizing the heart of the realm. Much like the revelations from his past life, the Realm Crystal serves as a key to unlock the secret realm. Should it fall into the hands of an alien race, humanity might face the dire loss of a crucial resource point. A chat box appeared. Jingjiu, have you finished your tasks? It was a message from Du Guohua. Lu Yu quickly replied. Yes, I am immensely grateful to you, Uncle Guohua. No need for politeness, but it seems you have quite irked that fellow Xingtian. His face was quite green, he jested. I call you uncle, and you call me brother. Let us maintain our respective titles. How goes it on your end, Uncle Guohua? Please send me a coordinate, and I shall come over. No need for that. Xingtian has already retreated, and Zhu Xiaochuan is absent. They suffered considerable losses. I am heading out to hunt monsters. You need not come. Lu Yu nodded and exchanged a few more pleasantries with Du Guohua before closing the chat box. Had it not been for Du Guohua's intervention that delayed Xingtian for a few minutes, Zhu Xiaochuan would have indeed made off with the realm crystal. Lu Yu toyed with the realm crystal in his hand, tossing it into the air and catching it, then lifting it above his head to observe it in the sunlight. After a while, with the surroundings still enveloped in silence, he sighed. It seemed the Spectral clan had truly departed. They likely deemed their chances of obtaining the crystal hopeless, thus leaving without hesitation. A stealthy individual, adept at slipping away unnoticed, was beyond even Lu Yu's capability to intercept. However, once the Spectral clan departs, the likelihood of locating them again becomes akin to searching for a needle in a haystack. Moreover, there exists another faction of the Spectral clan beyond the secret realm. Lu Yu rubbed his temples and decided to take each step as it comes. In his previous life, humanity managed to stand firm in the abyss despite the harshest conditions. This time around, the circumstances are already far more favorable. With that individual gone, Lu Yu felt little reason to linger here. He picked up the items dropped by Zhu Xiaochuan, discovering that this curved blade was indeed a silver weapon, just as he had surmised. It was not unusual for Zhu Xiaochuan, who had dealings with the Spectral clan, to possess a few remarkable pieces of equipment. However, this marked the third instance of him obtaining Zhu Xiaochuan's gear. The first was the black iron mantis blade, which he had sold for a handsome price at the auction platform. The second was a bronze curved dagger, which he gifted to Chen Zhu. Now, this silver curved sword had also fallen into his possession. Lu Yu found himself anticipating that the next time they crossed paths, Zhu Xiaochuan would surely be wielding a golden weapon. He graciously accepted the remaining 3 pieces of amethyst. Their quality was commendable, diamond grade, though their quantity was somewhat lacking. He pondered whether it would suffice to forge a diamond weapon. After surveying his surroundings to ensure nothing was overlooked, he finally departed from the core of the secret realm. The realm's crystals could only be utilized after the next refresh, and with several hours remaining until closure, he decided to venture out and mine a bit more. The central position of the secret realm remained unexplored, presenting a possibility of discovering dark gold-grade ores. Upon exiting the core, Lu Yu first confirmed the location of the fist against the elderly faction. To his surprise, he found the trio still meandering around the outskirts of the secret realm, neither mining nor battling. What were they up to? Lu Yu instructed the goblin assassin to draw closer and initiated a telepathic connection. Brother, do you think that black stone still exists here? I have no idea. Finding it is like panning for gold. It's all a matter of luck. Brother, if we do unearth another piece, how much do you think Qingjiu would pay? At least several 100,000, I suppose. Several 100,000? Can Qingjiu really part with that much? He's ranked first on the leaderboard. Selling anything of his could fetch far more than that, don't you think, brother? Fist against the elderly took a deep breath. I was pondering something else. What is it? If we each possessed a piece of that black stone and sought to join the Lord of the Abyss, do you think the esteemed Qingjiu would acquiesce? Cough, cough, cough. Lu Yu sputtered, nearly choking on his own saliva. This fist against the elderly seemed to have undergone a sudden transformation. Yet, if these 3 truly approached him with 3 abyssal eyes, would he allow them to join? This was indeed a matter worth contemplating. Lu Yu furrowed his brow for a moment before relaxing it once more. The Eye of the Abyss is not so easily obtained. The luck of these 3 is already commendable if they manage to find even one, let alone 3. Chapter 124. 3 blueprints in the remaining hours. Lu Yu, accompanied by the dwarven miners, scoured the depths of the secret realm in search of minerals. The efficiency was significantly diminished without the vigorous exploration of the old age home. By the time the secret realm was set to close, Lu Yu had only managed to collect a handful of gold-grade ores and a few dozen silver-grade ores. Although he was somewhat dissatisfied with this outcome, it did not come as a surprise. The vigorous exploration at the old age home was still on the outskirts. By the time they arrived, the secret realm would have long since sealed its gates. Moreover, those 3 might not even be able to hear him now. Without a humanoid radar, they had no choice but to conduct a thorough search. The quality of the minerals at the center of the secret realm was high, yet their quantity was scarce. Considering this, his findings were quite satisfactory. Ordinary players, even if lucky enough to survive, would typically collect no more than a few pieces of black iron ore during this venture. Of course, this was primarily due to the absence of a mining profession. Had they chosen that path, the results would surely have been much improved. System notification: the Golden Stone secret realm is about to close. Players are advised to exit promptly. System notification: 30 seconds until the closure of the Golden Stone secret realm. It was time to leave. Lu Yu had already acquired the scroll for exiting the secret realm from the wild beasts. He unfurled the scroll and tore it apart. A radiant light emanated from beneath his feet, and in the next moment, he found himself back at the location he had entered the secret realm. Surrounding him were flashes of light, all players emerging from the secret realm. As Lu Yu surveyed the area, he suddenly spotted an incredibly familiar figure among the crowd. Although the individual had changed attire and tidied his hair, appearing less disheveled than before, Lu Yu recognized him immediately. Lu Yu hastened towards him, but the person seemed to notice and began to flee. However, his speed paled in comparison to Lu Yu's. Within half a minute, Lu Yu had apprehended him. It was Wu Tianzhu, his mentor for his secondary profession. Teacher Wu, why did you run upon seeing me? Wu Tianzhu wore a wry smile. I thought someone had discovered that I was a wanted criminal. Aren't you just afraid I might fleece you? The last time we met, I suffered a loss of 3 pieces of gold-grade equipment. My dear disciple, I have been sent by your mentor to mine some ores for the Ju-E village's equipment. I must hasten back and cannot chat with you further. Wu Tianzhu feigned a desire to leave, but Lu Yu grasped his arm firmly. Mentor, you've advanced to a mid-level armorer. Oh, ahaha, congratulations indeed. Wu Tianzhu resumed his steps, but Lu Yu again halted him. Mentor, I have also advanced. Do you not wish to acknowledge this? Huh, acknowledgement? What sort of acknowledgement? Lu Yu gestured, and the skeletal general appeared behind him. Oh, my disciple has advanced. As your master, I am certainly pleased. Here are 2 bronze artifacts. Take them as a token of my congratulations. Lu Yu took the bronze artifact and placed it into his backpack, then silently gazed at Wu Tianzhu. Wu Tianzhu clenched his teeth and produced a necklace. Seeing as your neck is still bare, I present you with this exquisite silver necklace. It is a fine piece indeed. The notion of receiving a necklace from an elderly man felt rather peculiar. Nevertheless, Lu Yu accepted the necklace, briefly examined its attributes, and discovered it significantly enhanced his magical power. It was indeed a remarkable item. He adorned himself with it, and continued to observe Wu Tianju. Wu Tianju immediately bore a look of distress. My dear disciple, I truly have nothing left to offer. You are well aware of your mentor's situation. He is being relentlessly drained, leaving not a drop behind. Do clarify, what exactly have you been drained of? Mentor, I am not asking for equipment. I merely seek a few forging blueprints from you. Forget about the equipment. Why not return the few items I gifted you first? Oh, the blueprints? That is easily arranged. First, let me see what ores you possess, so I can provide you with suitable blueprints. Lu Yu revealed the contents of his backpack. He had amassed over 1,000 pieces of gold and silver quality ores, not to mention a substantial amount of bronze and black iron. Particularly, the 3 pieces of amethyst shimmered strikingly. Wu Tianju's saliva nearly dripped onto the floor. He had recently acquired numerous ores from other players. Yet they were primarily black iron, with only a handful of bronze quality ores, and not a single piece of silver quality had crossed his path, let alone gold or diamond quality. As a master blacksmith of the earth rank, Wu Tianju had encountered many ores, including gold and diamond quality. However, ever since he was wanted, all his previous sources of ores had been severed, leaving him to survive on his dwindling stock. How long had it been since he had laid eyes on such an abundance of ores? Wu Tianju felt tears welling up as he instinctively reached out. Lu Yu promptly closed his backpack. Mentor, do you have suitable blueprints for the ores I possess? Wu Tianju feigned nonchalance as he stroked his beard. Disciple, your haul is quite impressive. However, with your current proficiency as a mid-level blacksmith, you are only capable of forging with gold quality ores. As for ores of higher quality, I fear you lack the ability to utilize them. In an instant, Lu Yu grasped Wu Tianju's implication. This old fellow was coveting the 3 pieces of amethyst. Lu Yu produced the amethyst and toyed with it before Wu Tianju, feigning an intention to hand it over. As Wu Tianju reached for it, Lu Yu withdrew his hand. Mentor, I have no use for these 3 ores. Do you possess appropriate blueprints for the others? Indeed. Of course. Who do you think your mentor is? A grand master blacksmith, adept at crafting earth rank equipment. Blueprints for bronze, silver, and gold items are plentiful. As he spoke, Wu Tianju produced 3 blueprints from his robe and handed them to Lu Yu. Lu Yu glanced at the 3 sets of blueprints, each representing a different quality. Blueprint for the Qing Mang ring, quality, black iron, bronze, silver materials. 2 pieces of Qingya stone, bronze quality. 2 pieces of black iron stone, black iron quality. 1 piece of iron ore, black iron quality. Requirements. Intermediate armorer, beginner blacksmith forging method. Need I elaborate further? Blueprint for the Qingling armor, quality, bronze, silver, gold materials. 7 pieces of Qing steel stone, silver quality. 10 pieces of Qingya stone, bronze quality. 5 pieces of black iron ore, black iron quality. 10 pieces of iron ore, no quality requirement. Requirements. Advanced armor, intermediate blacksmith forging method. Proceed as you see fit. Blueprint for the Qing Feng boots, quality, silver, gold materials. 5 pieces of Qing gold stone, gold quality. 3 pieces of Qing steel stone, silver quality. 5 pieces of black iron ore, black iron quality. Requirements. Intermediate blacksmith forging method. Do I need to specify? All 3 blueprints are highly practical and sufficient for use. Lu Yu promptly stored them in his backpack, expressing his gratitude. Thank you, mentor. Wu Tianju inquired, what about these pieces of amethyst? Oh, I merely wished for you to assess the quality of these amethysts. I find them quite commendable, Lu Yu replied, placing the amethysts back into his backpack. Chapter 125. Forging equipment. Lu Yu retrieved several pieces of silver and gold ore from his backpack and presented them to Wu Tianju. Currently, Wu Tianju was employed by the Ju Yi village, and with 2 mentors present in the village, it was only fitting to reciprocate the gesture. Wu Tianju made a face, seemingly unimpressed. As Lu Yu feigned an attempt to reclaim the ores, Wu Tianju swiftly snatched them away. After all, he might not be able to collect such ores in a single day. The secret realm had long since closed. Now, beams of light continuously shot out from it, heading straight for the springs of Lingfeng City. Those who did not utilize the return scrolls and foolishly attempted to remain within the secret realm after its closure faced dire consequences, being forcibly eradicated. Not only did they lose a level, but their inventories were also completely cleared. Lu Yu had previously cautioned the members in the guild to ensure their departure before the secret realm's closure. Naturally, the members complied wholeheartedly with their leader's words. Upon returning to the guild, Lu Yu was immediately surrounded by over 100 members, all wearing beaming smiles, indicating a bountiful harvest. Wusher Wuching approached, stating, Boss, I just conducted a rough tally. On average, each of our members has acquired 50 pieces of black iron and 5 pieces of bronze quality ore. Quite a few have even unearthed silver quality ore. With dwarven miners present, the Abyss Lord's followers can effortlessly extract natural ores, yielding significantly greater rewards than other players. Lu Yu contemplated briefly. It was evident that the ordinary guild members would be unable to forge the Qing Ling armor and Qing Feng boots. However, it is indeed feasible to forge a Chimeng jade for each individual. The quality of the resulting piece will ultimately depend on one's fortune. The remaining black iron ore may also be utilized to craft a few pieces of black iron equipment, should they so desire. The Qingmongjie notably enhances both vitality and critical strike, making it beneficial for all classes. Furthermore, accessories are inherently challenging to acquire, and currently, nearly all members of the guild lack such adornments. Occasionally, a few may don rings, but these are typically of basic quality or low-grade black iron. Liu Yu shared the blueprint and attributes of the Qingmongjies within the guild group, which immediately stirred excitement among the members. Guild leader, can you truly forge such rings? Liu Yu nodded affirmatively. 2 pieces of Qingyasha, 2 pieces of black iron ore, and 1 piece of iron ore are the standard materials required to forge a Qingmongjie. He added, it is essential to clarify that I cannot guarantee the quality of the output. It could range from black iron to bronze. Of course, with exceptional luck, one might even achieve silver. Liu Yu displayed the blueprint to ensure that guild members clearly understood the required materials, thus alleviating any concerns some might have about requesting excess resources. He held no reservations, as these individuals are destined to become the core foundation of the future Lord of the Abyss, and he was inclined to engage with them transparently. Moreover, the blueprint for the Qingmongjie may not be singular. Deceiving them now could lead to mistrust should the members encounter the blueprint later. Naturally, Liu Yu was not laboring without compensation. Due to his unique vocational traits, the materials needed for crafting equipment were halved. The remaining portion could be considered his service fee. As for the potential risk of others memorizing and selling the blueprint, there was little cause for concern. While the materials required were displayed, the specific forging steps were not detailed. Liu Yu simply needed to possess the blueprint and place the materials into the corresponding slots. Without the blueprint, even if others followed his procedure, they would be unable to create the desired equipment. Exchanging glances, the guild members smiled broadly. The guild leader does not treat us as outsiders. We feel somewhat bashful. Indeed, if we were to approach a blacksmith or armorer, we would be charged at least double the materials. Notably, such craftsmen could not produce this specific equipment, and even the least outcome, a black iron ring, would be quite advantageous. Wish me luck in forging a silver piece. Everyone instinctively lined up. Liu Yu first recalled all the dwarven miners and collected 20 pieces of black iron ore from each as a rental fee for the miners. As previously agreed upon before entering the secret realm, a few members of the dwarf miners, unfortunately, fell victim to wild monsters. Liu Yu promptly deducted 500 contribution points from their guild, and those who did not have enough were assigned negative points, rendering them unable to exchange anything from the guild warehouse until their debts were settled. After reclaiming the dwarf miners, Liu Yu began to forge the Qing Mang rings. Starting with Pafu Qinzhou, the first to join the Lord of the Abyss aside from Qinzhu, a pure-hearted youth who shunned worldly conflicts. He has now risen to the position of squad leader, overseeing 9 team members. Pafu Qinzhou grinned widely as he presented Liu Yu with a piece of blue steel, 6 pieces of azure cliff stone, 36 pieces of black iron, and 3 iron ores. Guildmaster, please assist me in forging 3 rings and 3 black iron pieces. Liu Yu accepted the ores and extracted the blue steel. What is this blue steel for? Guildmaster, I feel quite embarrassed for receiving your free crafting service. This blue steel is the only piece of silver quality or I have mined. Consider it my labor fee. Liu Yu tossed the blue steel back. When I forge equipment for you, I will certainly not suffer a loss. You should keep this blue steel for yourself or sell it if you wish. Pafu Qinzhou was about to say something more, but Liu Yu had already immersed himself in the forging process. Following the blueprint, he placed the ores and clicked to forge. After a series of clanging sounds, a Qing Mang ring emerged. System prompt. Congratulations. You have successfully forged Qing Mang ring. Bronze item. Forging experience. 50. Ring forging experience. 50. Not bad. The first Qing Mang ring was a bronze item. It seemed that after advancing to intermediate armorer, the probability of forging high-quality equipment had significantly increased. Liu Yu continued to forge the remaining ores. The last 2 Qing Mang rings yielded 1 bronze item and 1 black iron item, which was quite satisfactory. As for the remaining black iron ore, lacking a blueprint, Liu Yu forged it at random, certain that it would yield a black iron piece. The specific part produced, however, was entirely left to chance. Before long, all of Pafu Qinzhou's equipment was complete, and Liu Yu handed over the 6 pieces while also adding 3 azure cliff stones and 3 black iron ores to his own inventory. Pafu Qinzhou eagerly picked up the Qing Mang rings to inspect them. Upon discovering that 2 were bronze items, he burst into joyous laughter. Ha! Thank you, Guild Master. Ha! 2 bronze items, 1 for each hand. Hearing Pafu Qinzhou's laughter, those in line behind him became even more eager. Initially, everyone had prepared for the worst, expecting at most 2 black iron rings. They had not anticipated such a high probability of bronze items. The second in line, Bei Di Shaoxiong, suddenly grew anxious. Are you done yet? Hurry up and finish so that the rest of us can take our turns. The socially anxious individual, clamoring for so many words, revealed just how much he anticipated the forging of equipment. Chapter 126. The creation of equipment. Breaking the pod and sinking the boat swiftly stepped aside, allowing the northern bear to approach Liu Yu. Boss, I am just like him. The northern bear produced a piece of, or identical to that of breaking the pod and sinking the boat. But he presented Liu Yu with 1 additional chunk of azure steel. Evidently, this fellow had fared better than breaking the pod, and sinking the boat. Now, the Northern Bear was also one of the squad leaders. Lu Yu returned the Northern Bear's azure steel and immersed himself in the crafting of equipment. System notification, congratulations. You have successfully forged the Azure Radiance Ring. Bronze. Forging experience 50. Ring crafting experience 50. System notification, congratulations. You have successfully forged the Azure Radiance Ring. Bronze. Forging experience 50. Ring crafting experience 50. System notification, congratulations. You have successfully forged the Azure Radiance Ring. Bronze. Forging experience 50. Ring crafting experience 50. The 3 consecutive system notifications left Lu Yu momentarily bewildered. He had assumed that producing 2 bronze items for breaking the pod and sinking the boat was merely a stroke of luck. Who could have anticipated that creating bronze items was a certainty, while crafting black iron items was the true rarity? Realizing this significantly bolstered Lu Yu's confidence, and his crafting speed increased considerably. A short while later, the Northern Bear departed joyfully with 3 bronze items and 3 black iron items in hand, followed closely by others. Soon, all the squad leaders had completed their equipment, uniformly adorned with the Azure Radiance Rings, with each member now possessing at least 2 bronze items. Not everyone among them had mined silver, or those who had not promptly offered all their bronze were to Lu Yu. As was customary, Lu Yu returned it all. Having already accepted half of the materials, he saw no need for further ores. Once the squad leaders had completed their equipment, it was time for the ordinary members. These individuals possessed ores that were by no means inferior to those of breaking the pod and sinking the boat, with several players able to present enough materials for 4 Azure Radiance Rings. However, Lu Yu only crafted 3 for them, returning the materials for the 4th. Each person would thus wield 2 Azure Radiance Rings, leaving the 3rd to either gift or sell. Desiring a 4th would be sheer greed. While Lu Yu was inclined to extend some benefits to his guild members, he would not become their free laborer. After more than half an hour, the majority of the guild members had completed their equipment and, led by their respective squad leaders, began to level up together. Remaining beside Lu Yu were Chinju, a carefree soul, the pure-hearted youth, and the 4 from the dreaming Jiangnan group. These 4 had been intentionally left until last by Lu Yu. If the current 100 members of the guild were to form the core of the future Lord of the Abyss, then these 4 were the very essence of that core. Lu Yu intended to use the ores he had gathered to forge at least 1 silver item for each of them. However, when Lu Yu raised his head, he suddenly discovered that, apart from the 4 of them, a multitude of other players had gathered around. These individuals included members from various factions as well as independent players, all of whom had long been aware of the situation concerning the Lord of the Abyss. Initially, they had intended to take their ores to the blacksmith, for unrefined, or was merely a pile of stones. However, upon learning that Lu Yu required only 10 pieces of black iron ore to forge black iron equipment, half of what a blacksmith would demand, and that merely a few pieces of Qingya stone and black iron ore could yield a bronze ring, many players gravitated towards him. Yet, due to Lu Yu's formidable reputation, none dared to approach him just yet. In an instant, Lu Yu comprehended their intentions. With a sense of urgency, he thought, what should I do? This was a golden opportunity to amass a wealth of forging experience, which he desperately needed to advance to a higher level of blacksmithing, given the considerable experience required. Now, with a lucrative venture presented before him, he saw no reason to refuse. After a moment of contemplation, he instructed, organize them and convey the following. It takes 15 pieces of black iron stone to forge a black iron item, and 10 pieces of Qingya stone and 10 pieces of black iron stone to create a Qingmong ring. Additionally, charge a processing fee of 50 gold coins for black iron items and 500 gold coins for bronze items. Those from the Aoshire faction ought to vacate the premises. This pricing was significantly higher than what was charged to faction members, yet still approximately a quarter less than the blacksmith's rates. Undoubtedly, many would prefer to approach Lu Yu for their forging needs. Without delay, the emissary communicated the pricing to the onlookers, adding a 10% markup to Lu Yu's original ask. The gathered players, upon a quick calculation, surged forward. Lu Yu then calmly stated, form an orderly line, one at a time, with priority given to those wishing to forge bronze items. With this simple command, all players immediately halted and lined up in an orderly fashion. Those who had gathered sufficient materials for bronze items stepped confidently to the front. However, the majority lacked the requisite materials, with the leaders being representatives from various factions. These factions pooled their Qingya stones to forge equipment, subsequently distributing it to their most capable members. Contributors of materials would receive compensation in other forms. This collaboration epitomized one of the fundamental purposes of factions, to maximize the utility of resources at each member's disposal. Lu Yu remained focused, diligently crafting as he received materials, delegating the financial matters entirely to the emissary. The gold coins collected would be divided, with a portion for Lu Yu's own use while the remainder would be deposited into the faction's treasury to support its operations. Although the Lord of the Abyss did not pay salaries to its members in reality, the in-game benefits it provided were unparalleled by any other guild. The number of players arriving to forge equipment far exceeded Lu Yu's expectations. He worked tirelessly, forging from dawn until dusk, as the line of players only just began to show signs of dwindling. Lu Yu wiped the sweat from his brow, oblivious to the number of weapons he had forged. He was acutely aware, however, that he was merely 10 experience points away from ascending to the rank of senior armorer. Chun Zhu and the others had not departed. Understanding that Lu Yu had kept them around for a reason, he had something valuable to bestow upon them. Thus, they remained to uphold the order of the scene. With Lu Yu and his companions included, there were 4 elite experts present, deterring anyone from making a reckless move. With a clang, a long spear was thrust into the ground before Lu Yu. A cascade of dozens of lapis lazuli stones spilled forth. I hear you can forge equipment here. I desire a golden weapon. Lu Yu looked up to see a player with the ID, Hua, and Tianxia. Upon seeing this name, Lu Yu paused momentarily. He then glanced down at the scattered lapis lazuli on the ground. So, your temperament is truly this foul at this moment. The goblin general raised his blade and sent the scattered stones flying. Lu Yu replied coolly, I do not forge golden weapons. Next, as someone behind him was about to step forward, Huan Tianxia drew his spear to block the individual and glared furiously at Lu Yu, demanding, What do you mean, Qingjiu? Lu Yu cast a glance at the goblin general, who immediately understood, sweeping his blade toward Huan Tianxia. The latter hastily attempted to parry, but the 10-level gap rendered him unable to withstand the goblin general's might. The spear shattered, and the blade descended toward Huan Tianxia's waist. Yet, as it neared, the blade pivoted slightly, striking upward and sending Huan Tianxia tumbling away. The onlookers erupted in gleeful mockery. Which fool dares to provoke the great Qingjiu? To challenge such a figure, he must be tired of living. Now he is reaping the consequences. I wonder how his faction will respond to this. Lu Yu appeared unfazed by the chatter, maintaining his tone as he stated, Next. The next individual stepped forward. But barely had he taken half a step when a spear flew through the air, landing before him in the ground. Wait, my equipment, you haven't forged it yet. Huan Tianxia shook off the dirt from his head and advanced towards Lu Yu, step by step. Hey, behind Lu Yu, Chun Zhu grew increasingly irate. It was evident to all that Lu Yu had already shown restraint. How could this man still dare to persist? Boy, if you're looking for trouble, Chun will gladly entertain you. Chun Zhu declared, brandishing his weapon, now a silver curved blade dropped by Zhu Xiaochuan. Huan, the world, let out a cold laugh and chose not to retrieve his broken gun. Instead, he casually drew a long knife from his backpack and charged towards Chun Zhu. Their fierce battle quickly attracted the attention of players lined up to forge equipment. Eager to witness the prowess of this audacious individual who dared to challenge the only guild of the human race, Chun Zhu launched a ferocious offensive. But despite his relentless attacks, Huan, the world, effortlessly parried each blow. In fact, Huan was able to exploit the brief openings in Chun Zhu's assault to counterattack effectively. After several exchanges, it appeared as though Chun Zhu was dominating the fight. However, Huan had not sustained a single hit, instead managing to deplete a quarter of Chun Zhu's health. Fortunately, Chun Zhu's equipment was significantly superior to Huan's, allowing him to maintain his composure despite the unfavorable circumstances. Yet, if the battle continued in this manner, it wouldn't be long before he succumbed to defeat. Lu Yu smacked his lips, realizing why this individual, Huan, the world, dared to proclaim himself a genius. Others may be unaware, but Lu Yu knew that Huan had only entered the game 5 days prior, with no prior experience in any online games. His current skills and awareness were entirely self-taught during this brief period. Chun Zhu was in for a tough fight. However, Lu Yu did not wish for such an outcome. He was acquainted with Huan, the world, but the latter did not recognize him. Given Huan's fiery temperament, Lu Yu felt compelled to assist in tempering it. At that moment, Chun Zhu was already down to half his health, finally realizing that he might not be capable of besting this arrogant young man. Nevertheless, he was reluctant to withdraw. His actions represented not only himself but the entire Abyss Lord. Even if victory was unattainable, he aimed for at least a draw to avoid ridicule. Yet, given the current circumstances, achieving a stalemate seemed increasingly unlikely, and merely avoiding humiliation would be a blessing. As Chun Zhu pondered this, his anxiety escalated, causing his rhythm to falter. Suddenly, he received a message from Lu Yu. Zhuzi, throw away your weapon and fight him barehanded. Chun Zhu was taken aback. If he struggled with a weapon, how could he possibly fare better without one? Despite his confusion, he had always heeded Lu Yu's words without question. Without hesitation, he discarded his weapon, shouted defiantly, and charged at Huan, the world. Huan was momentarily stunned. He had not anticipated Chun Zhu's sudden decision to relinquish his weapon mid-fight. How could one fight without a weapon? However, given that his opponent had thrown away his weapon, to continue wielding his own would seem cowardly. With a resolute bite of his lip, Huan also discarded his weapon and rushed towards Chun Zhu. The two engaged in a fierce hand-to-hand struggle. After a few tentative exchanges, Chun Zhu suddenly felt as though Huan, the world, had transformed into an entirely different person. Without weapons, Huan Tianxia began to flounder against Chun Zhu, losing all semblance of composure, unlike the earlier ease he had displayed. He appeared akin to a novice who had never engaged in online gaming, throwing wild punches with little technique. Chun Zhu, upon witnessing this, was elated. Under such circumstances, he could easily defeat Huan Tianxia single-handedly. With no further hesitation, he unleashed his fists upon Huan Tianxia's face like two hammers, all the while muttering under his breath, "I'll have you, you turtle spawn." Huan Tianxia, incensed by Chun Zhu's taunts, felt a surge of anger. Although youthful, he held a position of authority within the Huan district, overseeing 100 subordinates, who dared to speak to him in such a manner. In his fury, his movements grew increasingly erratic, resulting in more severe blows being dealt to him. Lu Yu nodded in satisfaction, noting that witnessing the future one of the 10 kings of the human race, Huan Tianxia, in such disarray was indeed a rare sight. He had long activated the recording function, capturing the entirety of the fight between Chun Zhu and Huan Tianxia. Regrettably, he could not return to his previous life. Otherwise, bringing this footage back would have been a source of immense amusement. As he chuckled to himself, a friend request notification appeared. Player Huan Weijin Tianxia requests to add you as a friend. Weijin Tianxia? Lu Yu pondered for a moment, recalling that he was a deputy within the Huan alliance. He clicked accept, and the individual promptly sent a message. Qingjiu, this is Li Wei. We met at the hospital a couple of days ago, and I need to trouble you for a favor. Lu Yu nodded, having anticipated the request upon seeing the name Weijin Tianxia. Directorly, what can I do for you? I need you to hurry and return Tianxia to the spring water, by any means necessary. Chapter 128. An apology. Directorly, is this Huan Tianxia one of yours? Lu Yu feigned ignorance. Alas, Li Wei sighed heavily. He is my subordinate, someone I recently promoted. In that case, I dare not act against him. As the ancients said, the people should not contend with the officials. Directorly, wait for me to finish equipping him. Then I shall apologize and respectfully send your subordinate on his way. Please. Qingjiu, spare me the scorn. I will apologize on Tianxia's behalf. My failure to manage him is my fault. You may eliminate him if you wish. I will return to the city immediately and bring him to you for an apology. Lu Yu nodded. Very well, I shall comply. At that moment, Huan Tianxia had been reduced to a state of near defeat. He attempted several times to draw his weapon, but seeing Chun Zhu unarmed, he gritted his teeth and suppressed the urge. Qingjiu, I came to you for equipment crafting. I've been waiting in line, yet you refuse to craft for me. What does this mean? Or is it that you cannot forge golden gear and are deliberately stalling to hide your incompetence? Demonstrate your prowess by crafting a piece of golden equipment, or else you shall be deemed a coward. Huan, the leader of the realm, proclaimed with a mix of ire and amusement as Lu Yu concluded his conversation with Li Wei. Do I truly need to prove my ability to forge such a creation to you? This feeble provocation is only uttered by one as misguided as yourself. Lu Yu mused privately to Qingjiu, sending a message, swift resolution. He then gestured for the individuals waiting behind him to proceed, prompting them to rush forward and present the oars. Upon receiving the message, Qingjiu smiled subtly, discarding all restraint as he intensified his grip. With diminished health, Huan, the leader, could no longer endure and instinctively reached for his weapon. Yet, before his fingers could grasp the hilt of the blade on the ground, an immense force yanked the weapon away. Seizing the opportunity, Qingjiu brandished his curved blade, executing a swift two-hit combo that returned Huan, the leader, to the spring of life. A beam of light enveloped the spring, fully reviving Huan, albeit with a level reduction. Taking a deep breath, he rummaged through his backpack to retrieve a novice sword. Prior to the village chief's demise, players were devoid of starter gear. It was only after the chief's passing and the ascension of the new leader that novice equipment began to be distributed in the villages. This novice sword constituted one of the warrior class's equipment. Huan, the leader, weighed the sword in his hand. It felt insubstantial and offered a mere 2 points of attack power, barely better than nothing. However, his backpack held no other weapons. With a cold snort and a countenance brimming with murderous intent, he resolved that as long as he wielded any weapon, his demeanor would change entirely. Even a mere stick, devoid of attributes, would grant him the confidence to gradually wear down the seemingly invincible adversary. Furthermore, as long as Qingjiu refrained from summoning beasts, he felt assured in his ability to engage in a fierce battle lasting 300 rounds. The indignation of being slain by an unknown individual was unbearable for someone of his stature. Now, he was determined to exact vengeance. However, just as he took a step forward, a figure materialized before him. Get out of my way. Huan, the leader, demanded, attempting to push the person aside, only for them to suddenly raise their hand and slap him across the face. What the hell? He exclaimed, momentarily silenced. Just moments ago, he had exuded the ferocity of a descending tiger. Now, he resembled a timid quail. Li Gu, you have arrived. With a resounding slap, Li Wei struck Huan, the leader, once more. How many times must I remind you to maintain professionalism during work? Yes, directorly. Huan replied, taken aback. What exactly are you planning to do? Nothing much, just heading out to level up. Level up? Are you seeking to train alongside the Abyss Lord of Qingjiu? Indeed, I will be leveling up by myself. Li Wei let out a cold snort. Seizing the opportunity in my absence to seek out Qingjiu and stir up trouble, thinking himself quite formidable. Have you taken a moment to see what the forums are saying about you? You're merely seeking attention, utterly lacking in self-awareness. Our Huan alliance aims for a discreet development, quietly gathering talent for significant future endeavors. Yet now, Due to your actions, the entire Huan alliance has become notorious. I have repeatedly advised you to think before acting. Although Qingzhou's motives may not be entirely pure, he is certainly not a person of ill intent. I just logged off to investigate what transpired within the core of the Jinshi secret realm. Huan, the world, was suddenly filled with curiosity. What occurred? The foreign tribes attempted to collude with the proud and arrogant to seize the secret realm's crystals, only to be repelled by Qingzhou. Oh, Huan. The world lowered its head. What? Do you still believe Qingzhou is an undercover agent sent by the foreign tribes? Dare not. What do you have to fear? To confront them alone. Do you still think you appear impressive? I merely wish. What do you wish? I am still your superior. It is not your place to wish anything at this moment. Shortly, you will accompany me to meet Qingzhou and offer an apology. Me apologize to him? Huan. The world immediately protested. I merely sought to procure some equipment from him. I did nothing wrong, so why should I apologize? Li Wei's eyes widened in anger. You call that doing nothing? You provoked him directly. Qingzhou, considering your affiliation with Huan Bureau, merely chased you away the first time, choosing not to lower himself to your level. And yet, you escalated matters, directly engaging in combat. You still dare to call that nothing? But there are no buts. Either you obediently apologize, or you can return home for a period of reflection. The choice is yours. Huan, the world took a deep breath, gritting his teeth. Fine. I will accompany you to apologize. Do not be defiant. I have observed Qingzhou for some time. Not only is his strength superior to yours, but his vision far exceeds yours as well. Let me ask you, if you were a summoner from the abyss, would you choose to establish a gang? Huan, the world whispered. With so many summoned beasts, only a fool would establish a gang. Then do you believe Qingzhou is a fool? Certainly not. Huan, the world scoffed. Though he did not comprehend why Qingzhou would choose to create a gang, he could discern that Qingzhou was anything but foolish. Alas, Li Wei sighed. I tire of discussing this with you. You shall come to your own understanding in due time. Fewer people are seeking him for equipment now, so let us go apologize together. Outside the Jinshi secret realm, those seeking Lu Yu for equipment had already dispersed, leaving only Lu Yu and 5 others, including Qingzhou. Li Wei guided Huan, the world towards Lu Yu, forcefully pushing him in front of him. Chapter 129. Qingfeng boots Huan. The world clenched his fists tightly, half bowing, and squeezed out 3 words through gritted teeth. I am sorry. Lu Yu completely ignored Huan, the world, and approached Li Wei instead. Lu Yu extended his hand, firmly clasping Li Wei's. Directorly, it has been quite some time. Li Wei replied. Did we not just meet the day before yesterday? Indeed. It has been a long while. Chief Lu, you have become increasingly dashing. Your endeavors in the Stone of Gold secret realm have truly delighted the hearts of many. Of course. The two exchanged pleasantries, laden with double entendre, indifferent to whether the other truly comprehended their intent. Meanwhile, Huan was left in a state of awkwardness, caught in a half-bow, unsure whether to maintain his posture or rise. Chief Lu, regarding the proposal to issue the establishment order from last time, I wonder what your thoughts are. Directorly, I believe your reasoning holds merit. I had already identified a suitable boss, but the emergence of the Stone of Gold secret realm delayed my plans. However, after completing the crafting today, I intend to sweep through the bosses surrounding Lingfeng City. With a dozen bosses, we should be able to acquire several establishment orders. That would be ideal. By the way, speaking of the Stone of Gold secret realm, our Huan Bureau has also made some gains and would like to request Chief Lu's assistance in crafting a piece of golden equipment. Certainly. Both Lu Yu and Li Wei turned their gaze toward Huan, who held the lapis lazuli in his hands. Hurriedly, Huan retrieved all the lapis lazuli from his backpack and laid them on the ground. With a swift motion, Li Wei slapped the back of Huan's head, presented it to Chief Lu. Huan lifted one piece of lapis lazuli with one hand, offering it to Lu Yu. Is your other hand broken? Use both hands. Huan complied, presenting both hands filled with lapis lazuli to Lu Yu. Lu Yu accepted the lapis lazuli without casting a glance at Huan. Directorly, the materials are limited, and I cannot create many pieces of golden equipment. Under normal circumstances, crafting a generic piece of golden equipment would require 50 units of golden quality ore, even with Lu Yu's proficiency as a blacksmith, which reduces the ore requirement by half. At least 25 units would be necessary. Currently, the Huan Bureau had only a few dozen pieces. If Li Wei desired a specific piece of equipment, it would certainly be insufficient. Chief Lu, these 18 pieces of lapis lazuli are for you. Please craft whatever equipment you can, and consider the remainder our token of gratitude. If the lapis lazuli proves insufficient, please state your price. We can procure the deficit with gold coins or other items. 18 pieces of lapis lazuli would not suffice for a generic crafting method. The only feasible option would be to forge the Qingfeng boots provided by Wu Tian. However, the creation of Qingfeng boots does not guarantee a golden piece, as there remains a significant chance of producing a silver item instead, neglecting the requirements for other materials. 18 pieces of lapis lazuli would allow for the crafting of 3 pairs of Qingfeng boots. One of these pairs should yield a golden item, while the remaining 3 pieces of lapis lazuli would serve as compensation for the additional materials needed. Lu Yu accessed the forging interface, placing the ore according to the specifications of the blueprint. After a series of rhythmic clangs, a pair of Azure Wind boots was forged. System notification, congratulations. You have successfully crafted Azure Wind boots, silver grade. Forging experience for Azure Wind boots, 100. Shoe category forging experience, 100. As anticipated, they were indeed of silver grade. And 2 opportunities remained. Lu Yu placed another set of forging materials, and the familiar sound of crafting resonated once more. System notification, congratulations. You have successfully crafted Azure Wind boots, silver grade. Forging experience for Azure Wind boots, 100. Shoe category forging experience, 100. Only 1 chance remained. Should all 3 pairs of Azure Wind boots turn out to be of silver grade, even if Li Wei remained silent, Lu Yu would feel a tinge of embarrassment. After all, Chen Zhu's medical expenses had been covered by him. Moreover, having taken it upon himself to handle this, failing to produce a golden grade item would be quite a blow to Lu Yu's pride. The final set of materials was placed, and after the familiar sound of hammering, the system notification chimed. System notification, congratulations, you have successfully crafted Azure Wind boots, golden grade. Forging experience for Azure Wind boots, 200. Shoe category forging experience, 200. System notification, your armor profession level has increased. You have become a senior armorer. At last, a golden grade item was forged, and after a day of relentless crafting, Lu Yu had ascended to the rank of senior armorer. Every renowned armorer had been nurtured by countless materials. Players seeking Lu Yu's craftsmanship essentially provided him with ample practice materials. With a slight smile, Lu Yu presented the 3 pairs of Azure Wind boots before Li Wei. I have fulfilled my promise. Li Wei was somewhat taken aback. He likely understood that with 18 pieces of lapis lazuli, one could at most craft a single golden grade item, and only under fortunate circumstances. To his surprise, Lu Yu not only succeeded in crafting a golden grade item, but also produced 2 additional silver grade ones. Chief Lu, I only require 1 pair of golden grade Azure Wind boots. Consider the 2 pairs of silver grade as a token of gratitude for you. Lu Yu shook his head. Director Li, you must take all 3 pairs of Azure Wind boots. Otherwise, it would be difficult for me to approach you for assistance in the future. Typically, officials would become wary upon hearing such words. However, the circumstances had transcended the ordinary. They had entered an unprecedented and extraordinary period. With the abyss looming, the authorities were doing everything in their power to protect humanity. Naturally, Li Wei was keen to cultivate a closer relationship with someone like Lu Yu. If Chief Lu encounters any difficulties, please do not hesitate to speak up. We will certainly lend our support. Lu Yu nodded. Director Li is aware that my brother Chen Zhu has been lying in the hospital, and the medical expenses were graciously covered by you. We have yet to express our gratitude. However, the attending physician recently mentioned that there has been a change in his condition and wishes to conduct further research for treatment. Without consulting us, they disclosed my brother's condition to other doctors and intend to hold a private consultation. I perceive their intention to capture my brother and utilize him as a subject for experimentation. I kindly request Director Li's assistance in this matter. Chen Zhu, when did I become a guinea pig? Li Wei furrowed his brows. Is it truly the case that such a thing is happening? Rest assured, Master Lu. I will immediately dispatch individuals to investigate and ascertain who possesses such audacity. My gratitude extends to you. Director Li, please accept these 3 pairs of boots. Li Wei picked up one of the golden boots, the Qingfeng boots. Serving the people is our duty. Lu Yu, taking a pair of silver Qingfeng boots, presented them to Li Wei. Thus, let us not yield any further. You take 2 pairs, and I shall retain one as a token of appreciation. Li Wei hesitated for a moment, but ultimately accepted the 2 pairs of boots. Thank you, Master Lu. I also asked for your assistance regarding the establishment of our guild. Lu Yu nodded. Li Wei cast another glance at Hua and Tian Xia, addressing Lu Yu. This fellow is simply asking for a beating. I shall leave him in your care, and whenever you seek retribution, allow him to depart. Chapter 130. Crafting golden equipment. With that, Li Wei departed. After watching him leave, Lu Yu turned his gaze toward Hua and Tian Xia. Anger was not quite the sentiment. Rather, it was amusing to see one of the 10 kings destined to claim the heads of generals in the future standing before him like a rebellious youth. There was an indescribable sense of satisfaction. Lu Yu chose to disregard Hua and Tian Xia for the moment, instead calling over Chen Zhu, the pure-hearted youth, and Ru Mengjiangnan. They promptly approached, having awaited this moment for an entire day. Lu Yu first retrieved 4 silver Qingmong rings from his backpack, distributing them to the pure-hearted youth and Ru Mengjiangnan. These were the only 4 silver quality rings created during Lu Yu's crafting of the Qingmong rings. I possess a blueprint for golden equipment and one for silver equipment, both of which can only forge armor. Since you 2 are agile classes and cannot equip armor, these 4 rings are all yours. Thank you, Master. Ru Mengjiangnan joyfully accepted the rings. Lu Yu had already gifted her a golden cloak, and now she received 2 silver rings. Though there were no more golden items, she was not greedy. The pure-hearted youth, having already received silver shoes from Lu Yu, understood the significance of footwear for an assassin, and gratefully accepted the 2 silver Qingmong rings. Next were Chen Zhu and the unassuming one. The 2 of them had already begun to eagerly rub their hands together. While the pure-hearted youth and Ru Mengjiangnan could not wear armor, these 2 warriors certainly could. Upon hearing Lu Yu mention that the golden blueprint pertained to armor, their excitement was palpable. Look at how you both are acting. If others saw you, they might think our Lord of the Abyss is impoverished. As Lu Yu spoke, he cast a sidelong glance at Huan, who, despite the evident envy shimmering in his eyes, forcefully turned his head away. This fellow was also a warrior-type profession. How could he not be tempted upon hearing of suitable equipment for his class? Lu Yu retrieved the materials and blueprints, ready to commence forging. The first item was the Azure Spirit Armor, represented by a silver-quality blueprint. Typically, one would forge bronze and silver items according to such designs. However, having recently ascended to the rank of a senior armor smith, it was not beyond the realm of possibility for Lu Yu to forge a golden-quality Azure Spirit Armor. He began filling in the materials, and the familiar, melodious clang of hammering echoed once more. The system notification chimed. Congratulations, you have successfully forged Azure Spirit Armor, golden quality. You gained 200 forging experience for Azure Spirit Armor and 200 experience for chest armor crafting. The first item turned out to be a golden piece. Was the enhancement from being a senior armor smith truly this significant? Before entering the ranks of masters, the changes in the armor smith's occupational talent would not manifest on the panel. Nevertheless, subtle improvements were undeniably present, and judging by the current circumstances, they were quite substantial. Despite his outward demeanor remaining calm and unperturbed, Lu Yu continued to forge a second Azure Spirit Armor. The sound of the hammering this time was even more delightful, and the equipment was swiftly completed. System notification. Congratulations, you have successfully forged Azure Spirit Armor, silver quality. You gained 100 forging experience for Azure Spirit Armor and 100 experience for chest armor crafting. A silver item, not gold. Lu Yu pressed on with his crafting. System notification. Congratulations, you have successfully forged Azure Spirit Armor, silver quality. You gained 100 forging experience for Azure Spirit Armor and 100 experience for chest armor crafting. Another silver piece. Was the first golden item merely a stroke of luck? If he could not produce a second golden Azure Spirit Armor, Lu Yu would need to ponder to whom he should bestow this singular golden piece. He placed the fourth batch of materials onto the anvil. System notification. Congratulations, you have successfully forged Azure Spirit Armor, golden quality. You gained 200 forging experience for Azure Spirit Armor and 200 experience for chest armor crafting. Another golden item emerged, and Lu Yu let out a slight sigh of relief. If there were indeed only one golden Azure Spirit Armor, deciding between Chun Zhu and Yi Shi Wu would be a predicament. Chun Zhu was his closest comrade, and Lu Yu was reluctant to shortchange him. Yet Yi Shi Wu's contributions to the guild were indisputable, and his unwavering loyalty made Lu Yu hesitant to let him suffer any slight. Now that 2 golden items had been forged, his worries dissipated. It appeared that upon reaching the rank of senior armor smith, the hidden enhancements, while not as grand as one might have envisioned, were still considerable. With a 50% chance of producing a golden item from a silver quality blueprint, any other armor smiths witnessing this would likely be driven to despair. Lu Yu set the 2 golden Azure Spirit Armors aside, not in haste to distribute them to Chun Zhu or Yi Shi Wu, and instead turned his focus to crafting a second piece of equipment, the Azure Wind Boots. The blueprint for these boots was of golden quality, presenting an even higher probability of yielding a golden item. Lu Yu meticulously crafted 2 pairs of golden quality Qingfeng boots, a feat that surprised him, yet seemed entirely plausible. As a mid-level blacksmith, he had already managed to forge these boots of remarkable quality, and with his recent promotion to a higher rank, the likelihood of producing such exceptional items had undoubtedly increased. He presented the Qingling armor and the Qingfeng boots to his companions, stating, "Each of you shall have a set. While the attributes and effects may vary slightly, they are both of golden quality." Chun Zhu and Yi Shi Wu were eager to don their new gear, and as they adorned themselves, a radiant glow emanated from the equipment, transforming their appearances instantaneously. Do not become overly complacent. Be cautious lest you find yourselves defeated, Lu Yu warned. Brother Yu. With these enhancements, who could possibly challenge us? Yi Shi Wu replied confidently. Nearby, Huan scoffed, muttering under his breath, I could. Though Chun Zhu and Yi Shi Wu were oblivious to Huan's words, Lu Yu heard them clearly. While it seemed he had been neglecting Huan, he had actually been keeping a close eye on the rebellious youth. The jealousy in Huan's voice was palpable. It was evident he yearned for a set of his own, but was too proud to voice his desires. Li Wei had left Huan in Lu Yu's care, ostensibly for Lu Yu to vent his frustrations, but he also hoped Lu Yu might provide some guidance. After all, with Huan's extraordinary talent, few could teach him anything of value. Chapter 131. Self-created skills. Li Wei's intentions were clear to Lu Yu. However, Huan's prowess relied heavily on his innate talent. When armed, he was nearly invincible, yet without his weapon, he seemed utterly lacking. There was little to teach, and what little there was could only be conveyed as a conceptual framework. Lu Yu turned to Chun Zhu, noting his recent recovery, which no longer necessitated daily checks. Zhu, you and the others should proceed to level up. I will provide this rebellious youth with some psychological counsel. All right, brother Yu, we shall take our leave. Chun Zhu and his companions departed, eager to test the efficacy of their new equipment. Lu Yu retrieved 25 pieces of turquoise stone from his inventory and commenced forging. Now that he had ascended to the rank of advanced blacksmith, He could specify the equipment part he wished to forge. He chose to craft a weapon, specifically a spear. After the familiar sounds of creation, a spear radiating a golden light appeared in Lu Yu's hands. System notification. Congratulations, you have successfully forged, unnamed, golden quality. Weapon forging experience 200. After a moment of contemplation, Lu Yu decided to name the spear, Luminous Golden Spear. He playfully wielded the spear, aware that as a mage, he was unable to equip such weaponry. However, he could still enjoy handling it, albeit without the added attributes. In his earlier days, Lu Yu had also been a warrior. And now, with the spear in his grasp, he could still demonstrate a few moves. Huan and Yeshawu watched in awe as Lu Yu displayed his skill with the spear, a look of admiration crossing their faces. He may not comprehend these intricate maneuvers. Yet if left to his own devices, he would likely perform similarly to Lu Yu. However, it must be noted that at times, Lu Yu exhibits greater prowess. Yet, Huan Tianxia fails to grasp the rationale behind a summoner crafting a golden spear. Is it merely for ostentation? Upon concluding a display of spear dancing, Lu Yu thrust the gleaming golden spear at Huan Tianxia's feet. Have you acquired any spear-related skills? Not yet. Perhaps out of admiration for Lu Yu's recent display, Huan Tianxia's tone inadvertently became more courteous. Did you catch the entirety of that sequence I just performed? To a degree. Not bad. Have you heard of self-created skills in the abyss? Huh. Huan Tianxia was taken aback and shook his head, indicating he had not. Lu Yu nodded, explaining that self-created skills hold little significance for the vast majority, as only an infinitesimal fraction possess the potential to develop such abilities. Even if others are aware of the existence of self-created skills, lacking the requisite talent renders them futile. He recalled his mentor, Sun Hanyu, who had developed the skill Heart's Eye Connection. Although it was not a direct damage-dealing skill, its auxiliary benefits for summoners were unparalleled. The criteria for self-created skills are exceedingly stringent, yet upon success, the resultant skills are immensely powerful, far surpassing generic skills. Huan Tianxiao's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. Within the Huan Bureau, he had access to far more secrets regarding the abyss than the average person. Yet, he was unaware of the concept of self-created skills. Was that sequence you performed earlier a self-created skill? Lu Yu shook his head. That technique was imparted to me by an ostentatious fool. I must admit, your spear dancing indeed had an air of pretentiousness. Lu Yu regarded Huan Tianxia with a deep gaze, remaining silent. Do you know how one might create a self-created skill? What are the requirements? I am uncertain of the specific requirements. It is determined by the abyss itself. If it deems you suitable, it will enshrine that skill within your skill list. Huan Tianxia inquired. So, did the system not recognize your earlier performance as a successful self-creation? Lu Yu shook his head. If it were that simple, anyone could easily imitate a skill. Directorly claims you are a prodigy. Perhaps you should attempt to create a skill of your own. The flames of ambition ignited within Huan Tianxia's eyes. Lu Yu then produced the silver-tier Qingfeng boots left by Li Wei, along with the silver-tier Qingling armor he had just forged, placing them before Huan Tianxia. What is the meaning of this? These two silver-tier items, along with this golden-tier gleaming spear, are all yours. I refuse. Huan Tianxia firmly rejected the offer. What? Do you disdain silver-tier items? Do you not wish to accept them? It is not that. I simply have no justification for taking your possessions. Just the gleaming spear alone, if measured in monetary value, is worth no less than 1 million. It is not merely hundreds of thousands, but rather millions, Lu Yu quietly remarked. He had not anticipated that the weapon he had crafted would ascend to the top 10 on the equipment rankings. Parting with it now evoked a twinge of reluctance. However, bestowing this gun upon Chun Zhu and the indifferent would be a sheer waste. It was only fitting for Huan, who could truly appreciate its worth. I do not offer this to you for free. I expect you to share the skills you create with the members of my guild. Share with my guild members? Do you possess such confidence in my ability to invent skills? Lu Yu smiled enigmatically, remaining silent. Very well, I shall accept the equipment. Once this genius creates a skill, I will promptly seek you out. I have yet to praise you, and you are already reveling in your own hubris. Until you have created a skill, you lack the privilege to call yourself a genius. This genius will undoubtedly create a skill. Just you wait. With confidence brimming, Huan waved farewell to Lu Yu as he swaggered away with 3 pieces of equipment in hand. Lu Yu watched his retreating figure, an unexpected warmth swelling in his eyes. This time, do not falter. Slowly, Huan disappeared from Lu Yu's sight. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yu wiped the corners of his eyes. The windswept sands outside Lingfeng City were harsh, and he resolved to organize efforts to plant more trees in the future. System notification. Congratulations. Your guild, Master of the Abyss, has leveled up to level 2, with a capacity for 1,000 members. System notification. Congratulations. The guild, Master of the Abyss, has reached level 2. Guild members teaming up for leveling will receive an additional 5 experience points. System announcement. Congratulations to the guild, Master of the Abyss, for reaching level 2. As the first guild to attain this level, all members receive a reward, level 1. As an encouragement, the trio of system notifications jolted Lu Yu from his reverie. Finally, the guild level had risen, with the opening of the Golden Stone secret realm imminent. The Master of the Abyss was only 5 experience points away from level 2. Within the Golden Stone secret realm, guild members diligently gathered ores, but had not accrued much guild experience. The 5 points were earned earlier when Bay D and the Little Bears led a leveling expedition. A level 2 guild could accommodate tenfold the number of members, allowing for the formal inclusion of those peripheral members brought in by the indifferent. If the 100 members of a level 1 guild represented the core of the future guild, then the 1,000 members of a level 2 guild would be its most elite force. Recruitment would be entrusted to Chenju and the indifferent. Now that the guild had ascended to level 2, Lu Yu felt no hesitation regarding the sale of the guild creation decree. Moreover, having lingered at level 30 for a while, he had only reached level 31 with 80 experience points, even after the system's reward. Although he still held the top position on the leaderboard, other players were subtly closing the gap. Lu Yu's reputation had long since been established, and he no longer felt the need to obsess over his ranking. However, upon reaching level 40, he would be able to undergo his first class change. Moreover, there are numerous tasks awaiting him, such as the 2 missing specters of the abyssal race, and the endeavor of traversing racial barriers to engage with other species. Particularly the hunt for the stag. The notion of exploring other races has persistently lingered in Lu Yu's mind. With nearly a year remaining until the descent of the abyss, the time may be brief, yet it is also ample. If he could gather insights on other races before that moment arrives, it would undoubtedly be advantageous for the advancement of the human race. For now, he shall commence with defeating the boss, which would not only yield a guild establishment order, but also grant experience. Chapter 132. The Azure Wolf King. Lu Yu returned to Azure Wolf Mountain. Previously, the Azure Wolf King had fortuitously survived an extra day, unaware of the impending threat. This time, fortune would not favor it so kindly. The Goblin General led the charge, clearing the path ahead with its skeletal soldiers, while the Skeleton General remained steadfast by Lu Yu's side. Lu Yu consciously allowed the Goblin to absorb more experience. Initially, the Goblin General had been his most formidable ally, yet now its level was nearing his own. With a growing cadre of summoned beasts in his possession, including the Crocodile King and the Blackwater Python from the Novice Village, he no longer needed to nourish them with experience. However, the Goblin General was different. As a significant figure among the Goblin race, Lu Yu never regarded it as a mere boss. It is essential to note that the Goblin General projection had once shared a mental connection with its original form. Therefore, while the other 3 bosses could be neglected, the Goblin General required his attention. Additionally, its adaptability proved to be exceedingly beneficial. The level 25 Azure Wolves were utterly incapable of resisting the onslaught of the Goblin General, especially with the overwhelming numbers of skeletal soldiers. In less than an hour, Azure Wolf Mountain was thoroughly cleared. Lu Yu had ascended to level 32, and upon defeating the Azure Wolf King, he anticipated reaching level 33. He summoned all the Azure Wolves, instructing them to wait outside the northern city gate. Simultaneously, he sent a message in the guild chat, offering a training companion in exchange for 5 contribution points. Those in need could claim one outside the northern gate after paying the fee. Currently, the Azure Wolves' levels exceeded the guild's average by 5 or 6 levels, rendering them insufficient for long-term training as skeletal soldiers, but they could serve as consumable training companions. With an increase in guild members, the assistance of Jiangnan MM and healing would become more cumbersome. Thus, designating the Azure Wolves as consumables would alleviate some of her burden. Furthermore, under the auspices of the Tranquil and Chenju, the Lord of the Abyss had begun recruiting. Sending a batch of summoned beasts would also attract more players. As Lu Yu orchestrated these arrangements, he unwittingly arrived at the cave atop the mountain, the lair of the Azure Wolf King. Perhaps sensing the pressure from the 2 generals, the Azure Wolf King refrained from posturing atop the summit as it did before other players. Instead, it silently concealed itself within its den, emitting a faint, mournful howl. The level 40 Azure Wolf King posed no threat whatsoever. The Goblin General took immediate action, forcibly dragging the Blue Wolf King from its lair and delivering a decisive blow to its midsection. The Blue Wolf King howled in agony, casting a furious glare at the Goblin General. This strike ignited the primal ferocity within the Wolf King. How dare a mere level 33 Goblin General wreak havoc at its doorstep? As the ruler of a mountain, the Wolf King could not endure such humiliation. It let out a thunderous roar, summoning its pack, but after a considerable time passed without a single blue wolf arriving, it paused in confusion. Where had its offspring wandered off to? The Goblin General, however, would not afford the Blue Wolf King the luxury of contemplation. His blade struck once more, inflicting significant damage. Simultaneously, the Skeleton General charged forth on horseback, sending the Blue Wolf King hurtling into a massive boulder. Seizing the opportunity while the Wolf King struggled to regain its footing, the Skeleton General executed a devastating war stomp. The Goblin General unleashed his ability once again, propelling the Blue Wolf King into the air as 2 great swords descended upon it in unison. The coordination between the 2 generals was impeccable, leaving the Blue Wolf King utterly defenseless. Lu Yu observed from a distance as the Blue Wolf King's health steadily dwindled until it ultimately reached 0, dissolving into a beam of light that ascended into his summoning space. Lu Yu leveled up to 33. At the site where the Blue Wolf King perished, 2 items fell to the ground, a piece of leather armor and an ancient bronze token. Lu Yu hastily collected the dropped items, examining the token, which indeed was a guild establishment order. The probability of the Blue Wolf King dropping such a rare item was expectedly low, yet Lu Yu's fortune had favored him. The first boss he encountered had yielded a guild establishment order. He placed the order into his backpack, still undecided about whom to bestow it upon. Du Guohua from the Champion Alliance and Li Wei from the Huan Bureau were both individuals to whom he had made promises, making it challenging to choose whom to favor first. Hence, he resolved to wait a while longer. The other dropped item was a silver quality chest piece, which not only provided defense and health, but also enhanced attack speed and critical strike chance, appearing more suited for archers. However, upon inspecting his current Crocodile King leather armor, which had become inadequate for his needs, he decided it was time for a change. Lu Yu promptly equipped the Wolf King's leather armor, noting a slight increase in his attributes. Adorned in golden gear, the benefits of a single silver quality leather piece were not particularly pronounced. As for the Crocodile King leather armor he replaced, he casually marked it with a contribution point and deposited it into the guild warehouse. Most of the equipment he had previously placed there had already been claimed by guild members, with Lu Yu serving as the armorer. The Abyss Lord members boasted equipment that was evidently superior to that of other guilds, with each member typically possessing an extra piece or two of bronze gear. Having dealt with the Blue Wolf King, Lu Yu wasted no time and hastened towards the location of the next boss. A deer king residing in the forest east of Lingfeng City, also a level 40 silver boss, much like the Blue Wolf King. Moreover, if I recall correctly, the skills of Lu Yu allow for the possibility of obtaining a certification for the alchemist's secondary profession from the boss, the Deer King. Currently, the guild possesses the capability to forge equipment, yet no one has stepped forward to provide potions. Who would be the most suitable candidate to pursue the role of alchemist? In Chapter 133, it is noted that the ordinary secondary professions are not particularly challenging to undertake. One merely needs to locate the corresponding NPC in the city and complete a couple of straightforward initiation tasks. The true challenge lies with the hidden professions. For instance, Lu Yu's armorer profession is one that, should it be attempted by other players, would prove daunting even with the acquisition of the secret order. As completing the initiation tasks is no simple feat, the level 60 black-headed eagles at Falling Eagle Peak are formidable adversaries not easily managed by the average player. The alchemist is similarly classified as a hidden profession, and its initiation difficulty is likely to be considerable. Nevertheless, Lu Yu is resolute in his pursuit of this secondary profession, ideally assigning the role to someone he trusts implicitly. The alchemist profession differs from the sorceress alchemist featured in the previous secret order. While the sorceress alchemist concocts potions that can directly enhance potion effects and create unique brews, the alchemist profession amalgamates the roles of herbalist and pharmacist, allowing for both herb gathering and potion brewing. At first glance, this may seem merely advantageous in terms of convenience, but this profession possesses a distinctive trait. If potions are brewed using herbs that one has personally gathered, the effects of these potions will see a significant enhancement. At the novice level, this effect can increase by as much as 25, surpassing even that of the sorceress alchemist. While the path to initiating the sorceress alchemist remains elusive, the alchemist must be secured. Within the Falling Leaves forest, the trees stand lush and verdant, the light dim and the atmosphere tranquil. Lu Yu ventures alone into the forest, a primary leveling area for players at this stage. He is reluctant to draw attention to himself or to waste time, preferring not to clear the area of its wild creatures. Currently, the summons within his space are more than sufficient, having provided several thousand blue wolves to guild members, and there is no need to hinder other players' leveling endeavors. The Deer King, revered by nearby NPC residents as the Deer God, is said to bring forth nourishing rains upon its appearance, leading people to believe it blesses the land with favorable weather. Within the homes of NPCs, one can find numerous statues honoring the deer. While the populace is aware of its existence within the Falling Leaves forest, its precise location remains a mystery. In truth, this deer has a fondness for water, emerging to bask in the rain whenever it falls. Its lair is near the forest's only pond, though this pond is somewhat elusive to find. Guided by the memories of his past life, Lu Yu navigates through the forest and soon discovers the clear pond, which glistens like a polished mirror. Standing at the water's edge, he gazes at his reflection and the silhouette of the deer behind him. Unbeknownst to him, the Deer King has silently approached from behind. This formidable boss possesses an exceedingly strong territorial instinct, perceiving the entire body of water as its exclusive domain. Upon the uninvited intrusion of Lu Yu into its territory, it was engulfed in an overwhelming fury. However, before it could take any action, several boss-level summoned beasts materialized. From the very outset, Lu Yu did not hold back. He unleashed all his formidable prowess. It was not that the Stag King was particularly challenging to defeat, but rather that Lu Yu had no intention of wasting time and sought a swift resolution. The Skeletal General, Goblin General, Black Rock Wolf King, Azure Wolf King, Lier, Widow Wong, and even the rather lackluster Yumi were all summoned into the fray. The only boss-level summoned beasts remaining in the summoning space were the three inadequacies from the Novice Village and Wang Dachui. Despite the Stag King being brutally tormented by the likes of the Skeletal General and other summoned beasts, it could still be effortlessly vanquished by these four. In less than 3 minutes, The once proud Stag King lay bloodied on the ground, unable to rise. Lu Yu advanced, casting a rockfall spell that transported the Stag King into his summoning space. A flash of light enveloped Lu Yu as he leveled up, reaching level 34. Only 2 items were dropped, no equipment, but 2 tokens, 1 bronze and 1 gold. A bronze token? Another construction token? Lu Yu bent down to retrieve the 2 tokens. The bronze one boldly inscribed with the words, construction token. Another construction token. How peculiar his luck was today. After vanquishing so many bosses without encountering a single one, he had eliminated 2 and received 2 construction tokens. In light of the construction tokens, Lu Yu forgave the Stag King for not dropping any equipment. The golden token was predictably a secret token, containing information solely about the herbalist, a hidden profession. Lu Yu shared the details of the secret token, along with what he knew about the herbalist's talents, in the guild chat, simultaneously inquiring, is there anyone interested in taking on the hidden profession of herbalist? Those who wish to apply should contact Wu Shiji, and ultimately, positions will be determined by guild contribution. However, one point must be emphasized. Whoever becomes the herbalist must prioritize supplying potions to the guild. Naturally, the potion guild will purchase at market price, and contributions will be accounted for. As soon as Lu Yu's message was dispatched, the chat erupted. A hidden profession. The guild leader has acquired another hidden profession. The enhancement effects of this profession will surely lead to an insatiable demand for the potions produced. Hence, the leader insists on prioritizing guild usage. During this expedition into the secret realm of gold and stone, everyone witnessed the importance of secondary professions. In certain respects, they could even surpass primary professions in significance. The value of this hidden profession is indisputable. However, upon taking the position, would it not require an inordinate amount of effort to gather herbs and concoct potions? Such endeavors could potentially hinder one's primary profession. Lu Yu, developing a side business indeed exerts a considerable influence on leveling and similar matters. Those aspiring for employment must take this into account. However, if one possesses sufficient contribution points, it is possible to exchange them for my personal assistance in leveling up. WOC. The guild leader is personally offering to assist in leveling. Did I just read that correctly? To the gentleman above, I understand your excitement. But please refrain from using profanity towards the guild leader. I acknowledge my misstep, yet I remain undeterred. I wish to enlist, to gain employment. Even if it is merely to earn contribution points, having the guild leader guide me in leveling is worth it. I too wish to enlist. My contribution points have been accumulating steadily. The ranking displayed does not reflect current contribution points, but rather the total accumulated since joining the guild. In that case, I shall not hold back. My total stands at a remarkable 8,000 points. Who dares to compete with me? Upon this declaration, a hush fell over the group. After all, the primary means of acquiring contribution points at this stage stem from team, leveling, and contributions of gold and materials to the guild. Most members have at most 5,000 points. And the sudden emergence of someone with 8,000 points undoubtedly eclipsed the majority. Well, I believe I am the most suitable candidate for employment. Let me take the lead. As for contribution points, a screenshot revealing a 5-digit figure was shared. The speaker, Ru Ming Jiang Nan, provided healing to other players' summoned beasts, all while calculating contribution points. As she spoke, silence enveloped the others. Who could surpass such a 5-digit contribution? Chapter 134. Once again at Falling Eagle Peak, Lu Yu nodded, granting Ru Ming Jiang Nan the role of apothecary, feeling quite assured. Although this young lady had joined the guild with an air of pride, over time, she had integrated seamlessly with the guild members. Had there been no one with contributions surpassing hers, I would have bestowed upon her the secret observation order. A chorus of regret echoed through the group, yet given Ru Ming Jiang Nan's undeniable contributions, all acknowledged her worth. With her having spoken in the group, there was no longer a need for the unassuming to tally contributions. Lu Yu directly sent Ru Ming Jiang Nan a coordinate, instructing her to seek him there. The coordinates lay within the leafy forest, and Ru Ming Jiang Nan quickly responded, Guild leader, I recall that location. It appears to be a boss's lair. Indeed. Yet that boss will soon be vanquished. Oh, understood, guild leader. I shall proceed at once. Lu Yu also began his journey toward that location. Outside Lingfeng City, within a radius of several dozen kilometers, there are merely 4 or 5 bosses. 2 of them have been defeated by other guilds, although the ice cicada pupa has respawned. Lu Yu found no motivation to engage in battle. He was unwilling to make an extra trip for the weakest boss in Lingfeng City. As for the other, it has yet to respawn. The remaining 3, the Wolf King and the Deer King, are already within Lu Yu's summoning space, leaving only the Forest King to confront. The only boss in the vicinity to reach level 50, unfortunately, possesses mediocre strength, maintaining a mere silver rating. Lu Yu made his way toward the domain of the Forest King, where the trees grew increasingly dense, casting an almost impenetrable shadow. TSK. Lu Yu clicked his tongue, contemplating the disastrous consequences of setting the mountain ablaze. It would be wiser to proceed cautiously. If the flames spiraled out of control, he could find himself the subject of ridicule on the forums once more. The Forest King, an ancient tree of millennia, lacked the restorative capabilities of the 1,000-year tree demon. Yet it wielded a plethora of offensive tactics. As Lu Yu advanced, the surrounding foliage deepened in hue until the trunks and leaves appeared ominously dark. He paused, realizing he had crossed into the territory of the ancient tree. The boss summoned its minions once more, this time accompanied by the recently tamed Deer King. The dense woods significantly hampered movement, prompting the skeleton general to dismount. The skeletal steed disintegrated into a pool of crimson-black ichor, spreading across the ground. A chilling display of carnage. A damaged figure of 80,000 erupted from the tree trunk beside Lu Yu. He paid it no mind, fully aware that the trees around him were manifestations of the boss. To be precise, this entire grove was the Forest King, a singular tree that had expanded into a thicket. Upon sustaining an attack, the afflicted trees writhed in agony, their leaves rustling violently, and their trunks emitting an unsettling creak. Thick branches, accompanied by a sinister gust, lashed out toward Lu Yu. However, just as they reached him, countless vines intercepted the branches, halting their advance. Did you think you alone possessed vines? The Vine Demon, a summon Lu Yu had acquired atop Falling Eagle Peak, was a level 40 silver boss. Though slightly inferior to the ancient tree, it was more than capable of countering its assaults. The skeleton general and the goblin general charged forth, their blades cleaving relentlessly at the branches of the ancient tree. In a short span, the ground around Lu Yu was littered with withered twigs and leaves. Other summons joined the fray, unleashing their attacks on the surrounding trees. The larger the entity, the more formidable its assault. Conversely, the larger the target, the more extensive the area affected by the damage. Lu Yu did not need to seek out the core of the ancient tree, for regardless of where his strikes landed, the boss would incur damage. This was a primary reason the ancient tree was classified as silver. Even without its fire resistance, it was susceptible to widespread attacks. However, as a plant-based entity, its vitality was extraordinarily robust. Even with Lu Yu's relentless pressure, it would take him half an hour to subdue it. By the time Rumeng Jiangnan arrived, the ancient tree was left with merely 20 of its health. The area lay in ruins, strewn with broken timber and branches, resembling a figure mercilessly whipped, bloodied, and battered. As dreaming Jiangnan slightly parted her lips, she inquired, "Master, did you do this?" Lu Yu nodded in affirmation. "Master, you are so cruel," Lu Yu retorted. "Once you find yourself bound by this tree, gradually drained of your blood, you will no longer perceive my actions as cruel." He retrieved the secret order and tossed it to dreaming Jiangnan. "Use it, and see what the employment task entails." Such employment tasks are refreshed in real time according to the conditions within the abyss. Given the myriad changes in this life, Lu Yu could not guarantee that the tasks would align with his prior knowledge. Understood. Dreaming Jiangnan accepted the token, swiftly dismissing the matter of Lu Yu's merciless slaughter of the ancient tree. The token shimmered with light, revealing a fleeting apparition of an apothecary, which quickly vanished. "Master, it instructs me to collect 20 rare herbs from a cave on Falling Eagle Peak." Lu Yu furrowed his brow. Once again, it pointed towards Falling Eagle Peak. Why did both hidden side quests he encountered lead there? Nonetheless, the variety of herbs on Falling Eagle Peak was indeed considerable. Gathering them, there was reasonable. "Very well. I shall accompany you." "What? The master will accompany me to gather herbs?" Dreaming Jiangnan's tone became tense, her cheeks flushing slightly. Lu Yu, perplexed, wondered what made this young girl so anxious. "It's not as if I'm checking your homework. The herbs are surrounded by elite monsters of levels 40 and 60, and some rare herbs are guarded by a boss. If I don't accompany you, how will you manage to collect them?" "Oh, right. Let us hurry and depart together." "Wait, I haven't finished battling this boss yet." Lu Yu raised his hands in exasperation. Dreaming Jiangnan was far too hasty, a stark contrast to her earlier insistence on challenging him to a duel. He glanced at the boss behind him, now barely clinging to life, devoid of even the strength to struggle. With 80,000 blood sea of corpses activated once more, in the next moment, all the surrounding trees withered, transforming into a beam of light that entered Lu Yu's summoning space. In their place, a wooden staff as thick as an arm and an ancient bronze token fell to the ground. "Another guild establishment order," he exclaimed. "Isn't it said that my drop rate is exceedingly low? How is it that I obtained a guild establishment order from a single boss today?" Chapter 135. Recruitment. Lu Yu currently possessed 3 guild establishment orders. Not only had he secured those belonging to Du Guohua and Li Wei, but he also acquired an additional one. He first opened the dialogue boxes for Du Guohua and Li Wei, sending messages to both, directly. "I have obtained the guild establishment order you requested. Uncle Guohua, the guild establishment order you desired has been acquired." Li Wei's avatar appeared dim, indicating he was likely offline. However, Du Guohua promptly responded. Brother Qingjiu, how many times must I say it? Just call me Huagu. Is that rascal Qianer unwilling to call you uncle? Wait for me. I will deal with him once I log off." Lu Yu hastily redirected the conversation. "Should I deliver the recruitment order directly to you? Or shall I allow Yushi Wujing to bring it over?" No, please don't let that brat take it." "Where are you now, my brother?" "I will come find you. Let us meet at the north gate of Lingfeng City, then." "All right, brother, I shall return to the city at once." Lu Yu envied those who could utilize the return scrolls. He had to traverse on foot to return. Why not don the golden mask and register for a return scroll? Yet, Each time he adorned the golden mask, it transformed his appearance anew, and unless he kept it on indefinitely, his identity would shift. Shaking his head, Liu decided to walk instead. Roaming, let us return to the city briefly. I have matters to attend to and wish to observe the recruitment situation of Yusher Wujing before heading to Luoying Peak. Of course, guild leader, I shall follow your lead. After speaking, Rongming Jiangnan produced a return scroll, transforming into a beam of light as she returned to Lingfeng City. Half an hour later, Liu arrived at the north gate of Lingfeng City. Still at the same spot, Chen Zhu and Yusher Wujing had set up their recruitment sign. This time, Liu did not need to spend 50,000 coins to issue a system announcement. Applicants were already flocking in. In fact, when the Abyss Lord first reached level 2, many had sought to contact Liu, eager to join the ranks of the Abyss Lord. However, Liu had consistently ignored unfamiliar friend requests. Upon Liu's arrival, a throng of players had already gathered, tens of thousands, some aspiring to join the Abyss Lord, while others merely came to witness the spectacle. The only guild recruitment in the entire server was bound to draw attention. Now, it was not Liu's summoned beasts maintaining the area, but rather members of the Abyss Lord. As official members, they stood with pride, each accompanied by at least one level 25 blue wolf. The original 100 members had not only blue wolves at their sides, but also several skeletal soldiers, exuding an impressive presence that attracted countless envious gazes. In the center of the recruitment area, several zones had been delineated for player skill assessments. Chen Zhu and Yusher Wujing largely adhered to Liu's initial recruitment process, assessing levels and equipment, followed by skill evaluations, all while observing character integrity. However, compared to the beginning, the requirements had relaxed somewhat. The responsibility for skill assessments had shifted from Chen Zhu to Shattered Boat, Northern Little Bear, and 9 other team leaders. In addition to the previous assessment process, Yusher Wujing had introduced an interview segment led by the team leaders, allowing them and the successful candidates to mutually select which team to join. If 2 captains simultaneously set their sights on the same individual, and that individual remains undecided about which captain to follow, a duel shall ensue between the captains, with the victor granted the privilege of selection. A similar resolution applies to disputes among team members. Regarding this alteration, Yusher Wujing sought approval from Liu, who consented. This approach fosters healthy competition within the faction, thereby igniting the members' fighting spirit. However, Liu cautioned Yusher Wujing to ensure that such rivalry does not devolve into animosity. Concerning the delicate balance of this matter, Liu expressed confidence in Yusher Wujing's ability to manage it effectively. Liu arrived at the vicinity of the recruitment area, which was already encircled by throngs of onlookers. Through the bustling crowd, he could barely discern the happenings within. Summoning the Goblin General and the Skeleton General, he commanded them to stand side by side, taking his place upon their shoulders. The sudden appearance of 2 diminutive giants naturally attracted many gazes. As the spectators spotted Liu perched above, the atmosphere erupted with excitement. Here comes the esteemed Qingjiu, the leader of the Abyss Lord's faction. I knew he would show up for recruitment. Qingjiu, my dear, they say you are destined to bear offspring. Leader, look at me. I have already signed up, and will soon join the Abyss Lord. Leader, don't listen to him. He doesn't even meet the level requirements. Look at me. I just joined. The 2 generals advanced, and the crowd instinctively parted to create a path. Liu, with a stern demeanor and a serious expression, embodied the presence of an eminent figure. Yusher Wujing hurried over. Boss, you've arrived. Liu leaped down and approached Yusher Wujing. From now on, just call me Brother Yu, like Zhuzi. All right. Yusher Wujing's face lit up with a smile. What brings you here, Brother Yu? I have something to discuss. I possess a faction establishment order that your father commissioned. We need to transact shortly. WOC. Brother Yu, why would you sell it to him? He shouldn't be allowed to establish a faction. Let him watch others succeed while he remains helpless. That's your biological father. I had already promised your father. He insisted you address me as uncle, or he'd log off and eliminate you. This old man. Brother Yu. Could we persuade him to change the faction name to Abyss Lord's first subfaction? No wonder your father has always wanted to thrash you. Your survival until now reveals his affection. A main faction must reach level 3 to establish a subfaction. I merely wanted to inform you of this. Continue recruiting. After Liu spoke, he exchanged a few more words with the newcomers before departing the venue. Outside the recruitment area, near the city gate, Duke Guohua had been waiting there. Upon seeing Liu approach, he hastily took a few steps forward. Young brother Qingjiu, it's been a long time. Yesterday, we met at the secret realm of Jinshi. Liu, long time no see. Duke Guohua, have you brought the goods I requested? Liu, this conversation hardly sounds like a serious business transaction. Chapter 136. The sale of the guild establishment order. Liu retrieved the guild establishment order from his backpack, tossing it to Du Guohua with a hint of annoyance. Here, the goods you asked for. Du Guohua caught it deftly, retreating back to the city gate. Brother Qingjiu, I assure you, this isn't a precaution against you. Should an assassin happen to snatch the guild establishment order, I would have nowhere to lament. Liu nodded, indicating his understanding. Although his presence was reassuring, there was always the risk of someone being tempted by greed. If the guild establishment order were to be stolen and the thief entered the city, Liu would be powerless to intervene. Brother Qingjiu, I purchased the guild establishment order from you, yet you have not mentioned a price. If others were to find out, they might accuse me of leveraging the Champion Alliance's influence. By the way, regarding the office tower in Shanghai I previously mentioned, that's no longer feasible. I have sold off most of my assets and intend to invest all the proceeds into the game. Furthermore, I have previously advised against using the guild establishment order to exchange for real-world assets. Du Guohua was already preparing for the impending abyssal descent, and he was doing so with remarkable speed. Unreservedly, he disclosed his asset liquidation to Lu Yu, indicating a significant upheaval was imminent and that the game would offer a safer haven. Naturally, Lu Yu did not require such reminders. Yet the fact that a titan of the real world was willing to repeatedly alert him warranted Lu Yu's offering of a guild establishment order. Uncle Guohua, I meant to call you brother. Lu Yu, possessing a tranquil demeanor, replied, I apologize, but this was pressed upon me by your father. Brother Guohua, I have a favor to ask of you. Brother Qingjiu, feel free to speak. If I can assist, I shall not decline. I need to leave Lingfeng City for a few days and would appreciate your help in monitoring the movements of Aoshu, especially regarding Aoshu, Xingtian, and Xiaochuan. Since discovering their ties to the underworld clan, my interest in Aoshu has escalated significantly. Du Guohua chuckled. I was wondering what it was about. Rest assured, even without your request, I would keep an eye on this matter. Lu Yu's expression turned serious. Brother Guohua, when I say to keep a close watch, I mean to not only ascertain their leveling locations and the bosses they engage, but also to discern where they venture alone and whom they seek. Du Guohua furrowed his brow. That may prove somewhat challenging, but it's not impossible. With a considerable influx of currency into the game from my asset liquidation, the Champion Alliance will undoubtedly expand rapidly. Money can work wonders. It wouldn't be difficult to hire several high-level assassins to discreetly tail the two. Then I shall entrust this to you, Brother Guohua. Lu Yu concluded, turning to depart. Du Guohua hastily grasped his arm. You haven't mentioned the price of this token yet. Surely you cannot give me a guild token without any reason. Lu Yu smiled faintly. Brother Hua, I believe I have already mentioned it earlier, haven't I? Mentioned it? Surely you do not mean for me to keep an eye on Xingtian and Zhu Xiaochuan, do you? Lu Yu nodded. No. Such a trivial matter is something I ought to handle myself. It hardly warrants a guild token. Here's what I propose. I will transfer 1 million gold coins to your guild now, and we can discuss the remaining price when you have the time. Seeing that Lu Yu had other matters at hand, Du Guohua chose not to rush to settle the account today. Before Lu Yu could say anything further, the guild account had already seen an increase of 1 million gold coins. Recently, Du Guohua had been purchasing gold coins with real currency, a move that had even doubled the price of gold coins. Faced with Du Guohua's resolute stance, Lu Yu found it difficult to decline. After expressing his gratitude, he turned and made his way towards the east gate. While Lu Yu was conversing with Du Guohua, Li Wei came online. Upon seeing the message from Lu Yu, he directly invited him to meet outside the east gate. By the time Lu Yu arrived, Li Wei had been waiting for quite some time. Lu Yu. It has been a while, Li Wei greeted. Lu Yu quickly interrupted. Director Li, we just met half a day ago regarding Hua and Tian Xia. Have you forgotten? Oh, really? Ha. My memory fails me. By the way, I must thank you for the matter concerning Tian Xia. He had been rather arrogant and impetuous. But ever since returning from your place, he has managed to calm down and focus on self-improvement. I wonder what method you employed. He hardly listens to us old folks. Yet he heeds your words. I merely pointed out his potential. Talented individuals often aspire to greater heights, Lu Yu replied. Perhaps. By the way, Qingjiu, you mentioned that the guild token has been produced? Lu Yu nodded and retrieved a bronze-colored token from his bag, offering it to Li Wei. However, Li Wei did not take it immediately. Instead, he inquired, name your price first, and let me see if it is within my means. Director, we can discuss the price later, Lu Yu suggested. Li Wei shook his head. That won't do. Back at the hospital, you had not yet acquired the guild token, and it was acceptable to postpone the discussion. However, now that you possess the guild token, we should settle the account swiftly. You are aware that I am representing more than just myself. While owing you a significant favor is manageable, the official entity cannot afford such a debt. Lu Yu pressed his lips together, knowing that Li Wei likely held much information he desired, yet requesting that information could lead to a myriad of complications. Moreover, it was highly probable that Li Wei would not disclose such information at this juncture. After a moment of contemplation, Lu Yu produced the Eye of the Abyss from his bag and said, Director Li, I am currently in need of this, or, do you have any? Li Wei took the Eye of the Abyss, examined it, and then handed it back to Lu Yu. I do not have it. What type of, or is this? It does not display any information. I named it the Eye of the Abyss. I shall sell you 10 pieces of the Eye of the Abyss for the price of 1 guild establishment decree, to be paid off within a year. What do you think? Li Wei pondered for a moment and replied, that sounds agreeable. Upon saying this, he took the guild establishment decree and inquired, is this the only one? I can acquire more if you have them. Lu Yu contemplated briefly and responded, I believe I will list it on the trading platform myself. Very well, I maintain my stance. The earlier we have more guilds emerging, the better, Li Wei remarked before turning to leave. Lu Yu then placed the final guild establishment decree on the auction platform, setting it for auction exclusively in gold coins, with a starting bid of 10. 000 gold coins, and no upper limit. The system announced, player, Qingjiu, has submitted guild establishment decree for auction. All interested players are welcome to bid on the auction platform. Lu Yu was taken aback. He had intended to issue a system announcement himself, but unexpectedly, the system had provided a free advertisement. Chapter 137, The Champion Alliance and the Huan Alliance. Lu Yu was quite pleased, having saved 50,000 coins. He estimated that the final selling price of this guild establishment decree would exceed 1 million. Concerned that other players might lack sufficient gold coins, he had deliberately allowed the option of purchasing with other items for a discounted price. Consequently, the final bid would likely increase significantly. Regrettably, the auction platform lacked the functionality to prohibit certain players from bidding. Otherwise, Lu Yu could have excluded the members of the Proud World. However, even if such a feature existed, Xingtian could easily hire someone unrelated to place a bid. Never mind whether the members of Proud World possessed the financial means to purchase this guild establishment decree. Even if they succeeded in obtaining it and establishing their guild, Lu Yu could still assert dominance over them. With the guild establishment decree taken care of, Lu Yu sent a message to Ru Mengjiangnan. The young girl had been quite diligent in remaining at the recruitment site. Upon receiving Lu Yu's summons, she hurried over. Guildmaster, are we setting out together? Lu Yu nodded. It will take approximately half a day to reach Falling Eagle Peak. If we depart now, we should arrive before nightfall. Ru Mengjiangnan hesitated upon hearing Lu Yu's words. What is it? Do you have something else to attend to? Guildmaster, could you please wait a moment? I need to log off for a brief matter. Lu Yu replied. If it is urgent, we can postpone until tomorrow. After all, I have already accepted the pharmacist's employment task, and there are no time constraints. Whether a day earlier or later makes no difference. No, it won't take long. After saying this, Ru Mengjiangnan stood still, her eyes losing their luster. She must have logged off. Logging off in such a haste without disclosing the reason was curious. However, judging by her words, it seemed she would not be long. Thus, Lu Yu decided to wait nearby. This young girl was quite brave, daring to log off outside the city without any protective measures. At this moment, if anyone desired to exploit her vulnerable form, she possessed no capability for resistance and could only be at their mercy. Lu Yu summoned several skeletal warriors to safeguard Ru Mengjiangnan, then proceeded to open the forum. A striking title boldly adorned the top of the page. Why are there howls of despair on Qing Wolf Mountain? Why is there chaos in the Fallen Leaf Forest? Innocent little girl takes you behind the scenes of the Boss Slayer's untold story. Boss Slayer? This seems to refer to herself. The locations of Qing Wolf Mountain and Fallen Leaf Forest certainly align with her experiences. This innocent little girl has been crafting narratives about her since her days in the novice village. I wonder how she portrays herself this time. Lu Yu clicked on the article, and the opening was dominated by several images of the boss being vanquished. The photographs appeared to have been taken from a considerable distance, rendering them quite blurry. Nevertheless, one could still vaguely discern Lu Yu's features, along with the 3 guild establishment tokens that had dropped. Lu Yu felt a tinge of displeasure. Although he was uncertain where this innocent little girl acquired the photos, they were undoubtedly not fabricated. This indicated that someone had been tailing him during his boss encounter from afar. Judging by the distance in the photos, the observer was at least 1,000 meters away. At such a range, the system's built-in capture function could not produce such clear images. That individual must have utilized some sort of tool. The thought of being spied upon without his knowledge stirred a sense of irritation within Lu Yu. Even at a distance of over 1,000 meters. No matter how adept Lu Yu was, he would remain oblivious unless he populated the area within 1,000 meters with summoned beasts. As for the content of the article, Lu Yu could surmise its subject matter without needing to read further. The 3 images above had already provided the answer, the guild establishment tokens. It was likely that many players were already aware that 3 new guilds were about to emerge. System announcement. Congratulations to players, Champion, Guohua for establishing the Guild, Champion Alliance. System announcement. Congratulations to players, Hua and Li Wei for establishing the Guild, Huan Alliance. 2 consecutive system announcements resonated above Lingfeng City. Lu Yu closed the forum and returned to the game. 3 guilds had now officially been founded. The 4th was not far behind. However, Lu Yu felt no concern that these newly established guilds would siphon off casual players. A level 1 guild could accommodate a maximum of 100 individuals, while the Champion Alliance and other major guilds already boasted hundreds of members. They could scarcely accommodate their own, let alone recruit newcomers. Furthermore, the reputation of the Abyss Lord had already been established. The influence of the Abyss Lord now rivaled that of the top guilds, even without considering Lu Yu himself. When combined with Lu Yu's own influence, it overshadowed the other major guilds entirely. Lu Yu glanced at the number of guild members. There were already 907 individuals, just 100 short of full capacity. Lu Yu sent a message to the unyielding world, requesting that he leave a few slots open and not fill them all. Only understaffed factions would attract more hidden masters. If a faction reached full capacity, some individuals might simply give up. Naturally, unyielding world adhered to Lu Yu's arrangements without question. Suddenly, a sharp scream broke the air as Ru Mengjiangnan, beside Lu Yu, clutched her chest, attempting to calm her racing heart. After hastily attending to her own matters, she had logged in only to find herself surrounded by a dozen skeletons upon returning, which left her utterly bewildered. Sensing the situation, Lu Yu quietly recalled the skeletal soldiers. "Let us depart," he said. "Oh, all right. By the way, what were you doing just now?" she inquired. "Huh, nothing much. Just attending to some personal affairs. Did you purchase a high-grade gaming pod?" "Not at all." Lu Yu nodded, perhaps understanding what the young girl had been up to. After all, one must heed their bodily needs, especially when facing a long journey. Being in a high-grade gaming pod, he had no such concerns to consider. While Ru Mingjiang then had to be mindful of such matters at all times, summoning the Skeleton General and the Goblin General. The latter scooped Ru Mingjiang Nan up and placed her upon his shoulder. She covered her mouth in surprise, swaying momentarily before regaining her balance. "Your movement speed is too slow. Let him carry you. You should be able to hold your position, right?" Ru Mingjiang Nan nodded, initially taken off guard. She now felt centered and capable of maintaining her balance. Once she was stable, Lu Yu climbed onto the shoulder of the Skeleton General. The two towering summoning beasts set off at full speed towards Falling Eagle Peak. Lu Yu suddenly felt that this journey to Falling Eagle Peak would surely yield new discoveries. Chapter 138. The speed of Li Wei. The two generals sped along the road, carrying Lu Yu and Ru Mingjiang Nan, as the scenery before them transformed continuously. During Lu Yu's previous urgent mission, he had been too focused on the journey to appreciate the surrounding beauty. This time, with a different mindset, he observed the environment with greater appreciation. It must be said, the picturesque scenery along the way was truly refreshing. Ru Mingjiang then seemed to revel in it as well, her eyes half closed, allowing the gentle breeze to caress her. "Please provide me with your address," Lu Yu requested. "Huh, boss, what do you need that for? I currently live with my parents. I will send you a high-grade gaming pod." "Oh, no, a regular gaming pod is sufficient. Then, won't you need to log off soon?" Yes, I do have some matters to attend to shortly." Ru Mingjiang Nan's cheeks flushed with embarrassment as she realized her thoughts had been seen through by her leader, leaving her feeling somewhat awkward. "Leader, it truly isn't necessary. Spare me the chatter. While this task may appear straightforward, the reality is likely more complex than it seems. Will you still be available when the time comes? Quickly provide me with the address so I can place the order. It should arrive by afternoon." "Oh, very well." In the end, Ru Mingjiang Nan succumbed and divulged her address. Wenchang Road, Shangzhou Apartment, Licheng, Lishan Province. Lu Yu glanced at Ru Mingjiang Nan and asked, "Do you and your parents all reside in an apartment? Is there enough space?" "I do not live with my parents," she clarified. "I only mentioned it earlier to prevent you from misunderstanding. You are concerned about my thoughts, are you? Or rather, you fear my actions," Lu Yu retorted. "Moreover, it is evident that you were the one overthinking." Without further ado, Lu Yu opened the app and ordered a high-end gaming pod along with a month's supply of nutrient fluid. Entering Ru Mingjiang Nan's address for delivery. When it arrives at the foot of Falling Eagle Peak, you should be able to switch to the new gaming pod. Let us ascend together afterward. "Understood, leader," Ru Mingjiang Nan replied. "As for the cost of the gaming pod, I will repay you gradually." "No need," Lu Yu countered. "You are the core of our guild. Providing you with a superior gaming pod is my responsibility as the leader. However, despite your role as a priest and your lack of combat prowess, surely you must earn some income as a top-tier priest. What is this? Reluctant to upgrade your gaming pod? I primarily send my earnings home," Ru Mingjiang Nan confessed, her expression tinged with sadness. "You see, my father has a gambling habit. My mother is gravely ill and bedridden, my younger brother is still in school, and my sister—" "Stop right there," Lu Yu interjected, initially listening intently, but increasingly sensing an unease. This narrative felt all too familiar, reminiscent of tales he had overheard during foot baths. He had thought her a pure and benevolent girl, only to find her words were laced with manipulation. Ru Mingjiang then stifled a laugh. "Do you not believe me, leader?" "Of course I do, Lu Yu replied dismissively. Their conversation meandered aimlessly, and before long, they approached Falling Eagle Peak. The landscape remained unchanged, save for the absence of the vines at the mountain's base and the black-headed eagle atop it. Lu Yu instructed his summoned beast to halt, and looked at Ru Mingjiang Nan. "So, has the gaming pod arrived?" She nodded. "It shows that it has reached downstairs and will be delivered shortly." "All right then, you may log off first. I shall see you in an hour." "Understood, leader." Ru Mingjiang Nan's body froze momentarily, her gaze vacant. Lu Yu smacked his lips. This young girl truly trusts him. Just moments ago, amidst the bustling city gate, they were surrounded by many, and now it was just the two of them. With a sigh, Lu Yu released his summoned creature to guard both himself and Ru Mingjiang Nan, then logged off. This time, he chose not to inform Chinju. As the radiant light shifted, the gaming pod door swung open, and the setting sun cast its golden hue upon Lu Yu's face. Exiting the pod, Lu Yu first checked on Chunju's gaming pod status, relieved to find everything operating healthily. He stepped out of the ward and sought out Chunju's attending physician. Although he had already informed Li Wei about the hospital's intention to use Chunju as a test subject, he felt uneasy without confirming it personally. Pushing open the consultation room door, he found it barren and impeccably tidy. Lu Yu glanced back at the doorplate, confirming it was indeed Dr. Wang's office. Why was it deserted and so meticulously arranged? Hurriedly, he caught hold of a passing nurse. Excuse me, is Dr. Wang here? Are you referring to Wang Fuxing? The nurse replied. Liu Yu nodded. Yes, he used to be here. Used to be? Yes, he has been dismissed from our hospital and moved out just this afternoon. What about room 302? Has anything happened with that patient? No, nothing at all. Thank you. Liu Yu strolled away slowly, astonished by the swiftness of Li Wei's actions. He had only informed Li Wei of Chunju's situation that morning, yet the attending physician had already been dismissed by noon. It seemed that Li Wei's involvement had heightened the hospital's attention towards Chunju. This was rather pleasing. He savored the feeling of being part of an elite class. It was no wonder so many aspired for advancement. With no further concerns regarding Chunju, Liu Yu's worries dissipated. He descended to enjoy a bowl of noodles before logging back into the game. As night enveloped both the real and virtual skies, Liu Yu calculated that nearly 3 days had passed since Chunju's last review. Chunju was recovering well, diminishing the need for frequent checkups. In these 3 days of reality, the same time had elapsed in the game, amounting to over 10 days since entering the secondary main city. Liu Yu paused, realizing it had indeed been over 10 days. His mentor, Sun Hanyu, had expected him to visit weekly. 10 days had gone by, and the greenskin bull should have respawned by now. He had completely forgotten about it. Well, it was too late to dwell on it. He would skip this week's visit. Surely, his mentor would understand. At the gathering stronghold, Sun Hanyu reclined on a lounge chair, while Wu Tianju stood attentively below. Why have you returned alone? Did I not instruct you to bring Qingzhou back with you? Miss, he says he doesn't wish to return just yet. Did you not inform him that the green-skinned bull has respawned? I did, but he said he was indifferent to the green-skinned or gray-skinned bulls. He would return when he chose to, and not a moment sooner. Sun Hanyu's face darkened with anger. This Qingzhou, the next time he comes, he shall not complete his class advancement here. Chapter 139, Ascending the Falling Eagle Peak in less than an hour. The gaming pod of Dreaming of Jiang Nan was installed and back online. She even found a moment to enjoy a meal. Liu Yu had already stored away his summoned beasts and was waiting patiently beside her. I'm feeling quite full, Dreaming of Jiang Nan said, her hand resting on her slightly rounded belly, a look of contentment gracing her features. That last meal was so satisfying. I won't be able to eat like this in the future. Liu Yu, puzzled, inquired, why won't you be able to eat in the future? From now on, I'll only be able to consume nutrient solutions, she explained. Liu Yu pondered, is this young lady naive or simply foolish? Utilizing nutrient solutions does not preclude eating. If one desires to eat, one can still do so. Oh, I see. I thought that once I switched to nutrient solutions, I would be completely divorced from food. She continued, however, when I first immersed myself in the nutrient solution, it felt quite strange, as if I were sinking into a quagmire. Liu Yu nodded, noting that first-time users of advanced gaming pods often experience such discomfort. Ironically, over time, one may find it difficult to adjust to the absence of nutrient solutions. When the abyss truly descends, culinary delights will become a luxury. In reality, indulging in a lavish meal is not easy, yet savoring everyday delicacies is quite feasible. In the abyss, obtaining food is not a challenge. One can easily slay a wild creature, and as long as it is not poisonous, roasting it will suffice. However, experiencing the exquisite flavors and textures of fine ingredients and seasonings akin to those in reality will be a rare treat. Liu Yu chose not to elaborate further and simply gestured towards the mountain peak. Let us go. We need to find 20 types of rare herbs, which are not easily located. Moreover, since you possess the herb gathering skill, you can collect the herbs from the mountain along the way. Understood, leader. Dreaming of Jiang Nan responded obediently to Liu Yu's directive. She was no longer the brash Dreaming of Jiang Nan who had initially challenged him. After being thoroughly defeated by Liu Yu and the pure-hearted youth, she had sought out several PK videos of the two on the forum. Now, a collection of Liu Yu's videos had emerged on the forum, showcasing both his PK encounters and monster battles. Though the quantity was limited, each segment was a classic. After analyzing them frame by frame, Dreaming of Jiang Nan increasingly realized that the disparity between herself and Liu Yu extended beyond mere profession and summoned beasts. If both were ordinary warrior classes with the same level and equipment, she felt utterly outmatched by Liu Yu, perhaps even unable to contend with the pure-hearted youth. Upon this realization, her attitude towards Liu Yu underwent a dramatic transformation, turning 180 degrees. Consequently, she held a deep respect for him now and was eager to heed his words. The two commenced their ascent, and the first segment of the mountain path was devoid of excitement, as the vine demon had already been summoned into Liu Yu's space. Thus, this portion of the journey proceeded smoothly, yet rather uneventfully. In the wilderness, the absence of two wild creatures to enliven the atmosphere leaves one feeling a certain void. As Rumeng Jiangnan gazes about, Liu Yu frequently casts his eyes towards the summit of Falling Eagle Peak. During his last expedition, he did not reach the pinnacle and merely dealt with a couple of hundred black-headed eagles, which was the extent of Yumi's control. However, at the peak, there remained several hundred black-headed eagles soaring above the clouds. Moreover, the elusive level 60 golden boss, the black-headed eagle, has yet to make an appearance. For Liu Yu, the black-headed eagles hold little significance, Yet that level 60 flying golden boss still poses a considerable threat. Yumi is unable to exert control over bosses that surpass her in level or rank, rendering her utility to Lu Yu rather trivial. Observing Lu Yu's behavior, Ru Ming Jiangnan inquired with curiosity, "Leader, what are you constantly looking at above?" "Pray," Lu Yu replied succinctly. "The first segment of Falling Eagle Peak is not particularly steep. Without any wild creatures to waste time on, they traversed it in a mere 10 minutes. The surrounding environment began to shift gradually, and distant roars of wild creatures could be faintly heard. Lu Yu summoned his boss-level familiar to guard himself and Ru Ming Jiangnan. "We have reached our destination. Do exercise caution." "Understood, leader," Ru Ming Jiangnan responded, yet her attention was suddenly captured by a small patch of grass in the distance. Following her gaze, Lu Yu observed licorice, the most ordinary and commonly found herb, of whiteboard or black iron quality. It serves a function akin to iron or among minerals. A pharmacist can combine a certain quantity of licorice to brew a basic potion, akin to those sold in novice villages. Its distribution is far more extensive than that of iron ore. Wherever herbs grow, licorice can be found. Its significance also surpasses that of iron ore, as licorice is an essential ingredient for concocting any potion. Thus, in the previous life, many herbalists relied on gathering and selling licorice when they could not locate rare herbs. This item is low in price, with an abundance of sellers and buyers alike. Ru Ming Jiangnan dashed over, carefully collecting the licorice. A system notification appeared. "Your teammate, Ru Ming Jiangnan, has gathered licorice, black iron quality, X3. Due to their team affiliation, Lu Yu also received the collection notification. "Leader, look. Now that I'm gathering herbs, I'm not just collecting weeds." Ru Ming Jiangnan expressed her delight at acquiring a new skill, showing no signs of disappointment despite the quest progress remaining unchanged. A young girl, as long as she is not in a rebellious phase, is undeniably charming. Lu Yu smiled gently at Ru Ming Jiangnan. "This mountain is teeming with licorice. You may take your time collecting." Ru Ming Jiangnan lifted her gaze to find the hillside glimmering with countless herbs. The smile of Ru Ming Jiangnan instantly became more radiant. The act of gathering and collecting always imparts a unique sense of accomplishment, much like some individuals who relish playing farming games, while others find joy in reading novels of a similar genre. A significant portion of this enjoyment stems from the thrill of accumulation and stockpiling. Ru Ming Jiangnan swiftly navigated through the lush green grass, her small hands fluttering as she gathered sprigs of licorice. The abundance of herbs atop Falling Eagle Peak is something even Lu Yu acknowledges. This patch of licorice took Ru Ming Jiangnan a good 10 minutes to thoroughly harvest. "Leader, is there any more licorice? Let us continue." Ru Ming Jiangnan exclaimed, her excitement palpable, as if she had not yet quenched her desire. This mountain is replete with licorice, yet she has yet to assume the role of an apothecary. Gathering herbs should not yield experience points at this stage. Ru Ming Jiangnan paused, realizing, indeed, the experience has not increased. Perhaps we should first complete the employment task. Chapter 140. Centaurs prompted by Lu Yu's reminder. Ru Ming Jiangnan quickly grasped that her current herb-gathering efforts were indeed a case of working twice as hard for half the result. Just as with mining, an apothecary's level advancement allows for the collection of greater quantities from the same herb. In fact, it is possible to extract rare materials from ordinary herbs. For instance, if Ru Ming Jiangnan were a level 10 apothecary rather than at level 0, she might directly obtain a golden quality material from the very same black iron quality licorice before her. Gathering herbs without experience is nothing short of wasteful. "Leader, what type of materials would be classified as rare?" Lu Yu shook his head. He had not undertaken this task, and was uncertain how the abyss would define rarity. At this stage, I assumed that the abyss would not require a high quality for something to be deemed rare. Perhaps silver quality would suffice. This caliber of herb is typically surrounded by elite monsters of level 40 to 50. The highest rank would not exceed the quasi-boss level, which are abyss creatures. With 20 quasi-bosses, I wonder if we could obtain a guild establishment order. The auction for the guild establishment order still had over 4 hours remaining. Currently, the highest bid was from the Champion Alliance, standing at 1 million gold coins. Du Guohua had given no other guilds a chance to raise their bids, directly pushing the price to match his own purchase level for the order. This brother of his is truly generous. Ever since the price reached 1 million, other guilds ceased to bid higher. Even for top-tier guilds at this stage, producing 1 million is no trivial endeavor. Creatures like the dwarf miners, known for their propensity to drop gold coins, are as rare as the giant panda. Moreover, they remain within Lu Yu's summoning space. However, even if Lu Yu were to release them, they would likely vanish quickly. According to the passage of time, the dwarves on Mount Wanjin should have vanished by now. As for the reason why the Nether clan sought to poison this particular dwarven tribe, Lu Yu has yet to uncover the answer. The human race remains excessively passive at this juncture. Clenching his fists, Lu Yu realized he must venture into the abyssal races soon. "Boss, it seems there is a unique medicinal herb over there," Ru Ming Jiangnan suddenly exclaimed. While Lu Yu had been lost in thought, she had been searching for herbs and finally spotted a distinctive blue flower ahead. Regaining his focus, Lu Yu turned to the direction indicated by Ru Ming Jiangnan and beheld clusters of blossoms dancing like butterflies. The butterfly orchid, a herb of silver quality, serves as a primary ingredient for mid-tier blue potions. Lu Yu surveyed the surroundings, noting the absence of any wild beasts. It was peculiar. The butterfly orchid is relatively sought after, so why were there no wild creatures guarding it? Just as Lu Yu pondered this, a series of muffled roars echoed from afar, followed by the heavy sound of hooves. They were coming. Lu Yu glanced toward the source of the hoofbeats, spotting 5 centaurs galloping swiftly in their direction. 2 of them wielded longbows, another 2 grasped spears, while the strongest among them at the forefront brandished a longsword. The Centaur clan, a branch of the orc race, stands as one of the mightiest offshoots within it. Within their ranks, adult centaurs may vary in level, yet all rank at abyssal level or higher. These 5 centaurs were all level 50 abyssal wild beasts. Ruming Jiangnan was taken aback, while Lu Yu was filled with elation. Since the demise of the 3 giant goblin beasts, he had not encountered any abyssal-level wild creatures. Beasts that appear in groups of 3 to 5 and possess strength rivaling that of a boss are among Lu Yu's favored summons. However, encountering 5 at once posed a challenge. The centaurs moved swiftly, possessed high physical attack power, and had mastered the charge skill, making them formidable foes. The presence of 2 centaurs capable of ranged attacks only intensified the difficulty. Boss, why don't you hold them off while I gather the herbs? We can then depart. Ruming Jiangnan suggested. Lu Yu shook his head. He could not bear to forfeit such splendid summons. You focus on healing, and I shall handle the rest. With Lu Yu determined to fight, Ruming Jiangnan offered no further objections. She brandished her staff, unleashing 3 signature spells: Miraculous Revival, Healing Hands, and Terminal Illness. The first spell enveloped Lu Yu, the second affected all allies and summons, while the third targeted the head of a centaur wielding a spear. Lu Yu glanced at Yumi, who immediately understood. I still have hope of controlling non-boss level wild creatures. Indeed, moments later, the rearmost centaur archer began to slow its pace, aiming its arrow at its fellow companion ahead. The beast mastery was successful, albeit with only 1 creature tamed. Nevertheless, that was sufficient. The other centaur archer swiftly sensed the anomaly with its companion, but the arrow had already found its mark. Following a piercing scream of agony, the 2 centaur archers engaged in close-range combat. The most daunting problem was unexpectedly resolved by the seemingly inconsequential Yumi, leaving Lu Yu somewhat astonished. It appeared that he ought to make greater use of Yumi in the future, as her abilities seemed more valuable than he had initially presumed. The skeletal general had already confronted the leading centaur, while the goblin general was entangled in a skirmish with the centaur whose attributes had been diminished. The final centaur found itself encircled by both the wolf king and the deer king. Meanwhile, the skeletal archers seized every opportunity to disrupt the battle involving the centaurs. Lu Yu stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Since the abundance of his summoned beasts had increased, he had rarely needed to intervene personally, especially with the presence of the foremost healer of the human race beside him. Even the task of restoring health to his summoned beasts was no longer a necessity for him. Ruming Jiangnan was also slightly taken aback. She was aware of her leader's formidable prowess, but she had not anticipated it to such an extent. 5 creatures, comparable to level 50 silver bosses, had been effortlessly intercepted by the leader with fewer than 10 summoned beasts. She had initially believed that Lu Yu would summon thousands of beasts and, with the collaboration of boss-level creatures, exhaust the centaurs through sheer attrition. The outcome, however, was surprisingly facile. Lu Yu possessed a thorough understanding of the centaur skills. Their signature area skill, War Trample, was akin to that of the skeletal general, yet its potency was far inferior. Their hallmark single-target skill, Brutal Charge, involved lowering their heads in a conspicuous prelude, making it easy to evade if one was sufficiently aware. Lu Yu attentively monitored the 5 battlefields, skillfully directing his summoned beasts to avoid the skills at critical moments. The 5 centaurs soon found themselves gravely injured, with the one battling the skeletal general even flying into Lu Yu's summoning space. He nodded in satisfaction. Splendid, he would no longer need to run across the map. Chapter 141. The gluttonous snake Ruming Jiangnan was already busy harvesting butterfly orchids. With a notification from the system, a smile instantly illuminated her face. Leader, this herb can advance our progress. Ruming Jiangnan's secondary profession task had reached completion at 120, aligning with Lu Yu's predictions. At this stage, achieving silver quality was considered rare for herbs. Leader, shall we continue? Yes, let us proceed. On Falling Eagle Peak, the ground was strewn with herbs. Within a mere 10 minutes, Ruming Jiangnan's eyes gleamed once more. This time, Lu Yu too beheld a serpentine, deep green giant python winding ahead. Amidst the python's coil, akin to incense spirals, lay a purple herb, butterfly purple, a celestial-grade herb, capable of reviving the dead and restoring flesh. What a jest! The violet remained a silver-quality herb. The emerald python had sensed Lu Yu's movements, its massive body undulating slowly, its head gradually aligning with Lu Yu and Ruming Jiangnan. Lu Yu glanced at the emerald python, a level 50 silver-grade quasi-boss, and then at his own blackwater python, a level 14 black iron boss. Both serpents were of similar colossal proportions. However, the disparity in their attributes was striking. The emerald python could easily devour his black water python in a single bite. The emerald python flicked its tongue warningly at Lu Yu. With a resigned shrug, Lu Yu acknowledged its warning, yet he was determined to confront it. A level 50 silver-grade quasi-boss was far simpler to deal with than 5 centaurs, and a solitary skeleton general could effortlessly overpower it. Nevertheless, to expedite the encounter, Lu Yu commanded all his boss-level summoned beasts to surge forward. The 5 newly acquired centaurs charged forth with vigor. Among Lu Yu's summoned creatures, aside from the skeleton general, these 5 centaurs possessed the greatest overall strength. After capturing them, Lu Yu's output had notably increased. The emerald python could barely endure 5 minutes before being drawn into Lu Yu's summoning space. While Ru Meng Jiangnan frolicked to gather herbs, Lu Yu summoned the emerald python. The emerald python lowered its head slightly to Lu Yu, signifying its submission, but soon turned to gaze at the black water python. Its eyes filled with ferocity and longing. The black water python shuddered, unable to resist the urge to flee. Had Lu Yu not been present, it likely would have already escaped. Lu Yu furrowed his brow, questioning whether the giant python was in heat. However, the black water python also appeared to be male. Observing the emerald python's fierce demeanor, Lu Yu suddenly grasped the situation. It was said that the projections of wild monsters in the abyss, upon reaching maturity, would have their attributes and levels relatively fixed, making further enhancement nearly impossible. Yet, the projection merely encompassed attributes and strength, not consciousness. These wild creatures possessed their own awareness. Unlike other monsters, serpents, upon maturity, could not gain experience through slaying other entities, but could elevate their attributes and levels by consuming their kind. The emerald python's reaction clearly indicated its desire to devour the black water python to augment its own attributes. Lu Yu hurriedly intervened. While gaining attributes through cannibalism would benefit Lu Yu, he was reluctant to sacrifice the black water python, which had been with him for so long. Moreover, as a summoned beast, the black water python could acquire experience through defeating other entities, rendering the need to consume its kin unnecessary. Gently stroking the emerald python's head, Lu Yu reassured it. Wait until we encounter a stronger serpent for you to feast upon. This black water python is too weak, and devouring it would yield little benefit. The emerald python nodded, seemingly understanding, while the black water python breathed a sigh of relief, as if it had narrowly escaped disaster. As Dream Jiangnan has returned from her herb-gathering expedition, her progress in the task has advanced slightly, with the collection of 18 more rare medicinal herbs. She will be able to assume the role of a pharmacist. Suddenly, Lu Yu recalled something and inquired, Jiangnan, does your profession have a mentor? Logically, such employment tasks typically require a mentor to issue them. When Lu Yu's mentor, Wu Tianju, was trapped, his disciple stepped in to deliver the employment task. However, it appears that Dream Jiangnan's pharmacist task manifested automatically upon activating the token. Indeed, the task states that upon completing the collection of herbs, I must venture into a certain malevolent map to rescue my mentor, she replied. Lu Yu realized that her employment process was akin to his own. Perhaps her mentor lacked a disciple, which is why the system personally issued the task. Yet, why are the mentors of these hidden professions among the human race ensnared? Does your current task indicate the location of that malevolent map? Dream Jiangnan shook her head. I must complete the herb-gathering task to ascertain the location of the malevolent map. From the system's hints, it seems that map is a hidden one. A hidden malevolent map? Such occurrences are rare. Let us proceed, Chief, Dream Jiangnan urged, her eagerness to complete the task and secure her position palpable. Very well. Lu Yu nodded, but the next moment, a piercing shriek resonated from the sky. This sound seemed to penetrate the layers of cloud, reaching Lu Yu's ears. It was the black-headed eagle. Lu Yu's expression grew more serious. What was inevitable had finally arrived. Chief, what is that sound? Dream Jiangnan instantly became vigilant. With her gaming experience, it was not difficult to deduce that this was undoubtedly a formidable boss. Let us set aside the herb gathering for now, as we may encounter some trouble shortly. Be prepared to unleash your skills at any moment. Observing Lu Yu's seriousness, Dream Jiangnan focused intently. The black-headed eagle is the undisputed monarch of Falling Eagle Peak. Its mere presence sends tremors through the other creatures in the vicinity. Lu Yu gazed skyward, hearing only the cries of the black-headed eagle, yet its form remained hidden. This indicated that it was still hovering above the clouds. Watching him and Dream Jiangnan intently, Lu Yu did not dare to underestimate the situation. Although the skeleton general was also a level 60 golden boss, one was grounded while the other soared. Historically, in nearly all wars, aerial combat has proven easier against ground opponents. Engaging from a height is known as having the advantage of elevation. Not considering that scoundrel Masu, Lu Yu decided to release 2 black-headed eagles to scout the situation. But as soon as they took to the skies, a dark figure swiftly descended and broke their wings. The black-headed eagles plummeted from the air, their health bars instantly depleted. Goodness, it shows no mercy whatsoever. With the recent sacrifice of the black-headed eagle, Lu Yu finally discerned its location. The centaur archers released their arrows, and at this distance, only their range was sufficient. Chapter 142. The black-headed eagle. 2 arrows soared into the sky, aimed at the wings of the black-headed eagle. However, As the arrows pierced through the clouds, they began to lose momentum. The black-headed eagle extended its massive talons and effortlessly grasped the arrows, applying a slight force to snap them, causing them to plummet. Lu Yu gritted his teeth, his expression grim. It was indeed frustrating that the aerial forces possessed great might, yet were rendered ineffective in combat. The intelligence of the black-headed eagle was not to be underestimated. It seemed to sense the formidable presence of Lu Yu's summoned beasts nearby, particularly the large skeletal frame, whose strength was not inferior to its own. Should it descend, there was a high likelihood it would never ascend again, and even remaining close to the ground could lead to dire consequences. Thus, the black-headed eagle screeched loudly from the sky, refusing to descend and attack, leaving Lu Yu at an impasse. Fortunately, it hovered high enough that Lu Yu could not reach it, nor could it strike at him. The standoff between man and bird left both parties unable to act. Jiangnan, you should search for herbs while I keep watch, Lu Yu instructed. Standing idle was